All right. What is up, YouTube? What is going on, fellow fantasy people? And of course, what is up, the catch fam? You already know what time it is, man. Must start running backs, must start wide receivers for week 5 of the NFL season. You've got Steven in the house. What's up, brother?
What's up, brothers and sisters? What's up in the house? Let's get it
Okay.
going.
What's going on, man?
I'm pumped, man. Week
Any
five, got my dad on the ballot. That's who I'm playing this week. I'm ready to take his
ooh,
ass. I'm already talking shit. You already know.
ooh. I've
Yeah.
got Ty Money. I've got
Oh,
I've got a
oh
tough
no.
matchup.
Actually, he sent me a text and he was like, Montgomery's on the sideline for the game. And I was like, oh, you piece of shit. You got lucky there.
All my players are injured.
Yeah.
All of them. All of them.
Yeah, that it's almost like I do feel terrible for you, but it's almost impressive that everybody on your team is injured.
It is. That's a good way of looking at it. And dude, I don't even really like I'm not very high on Williams right now at the moment, man, for the Bears.
No, no, I'm not either.
He's got the thigh bruise.
Mhm.
I'm not a big fan. Richard Glass, what's up, brother? Look how fancy you two are now.
No more AOL dial-up, Richard.
Uh,
No more AOL dial-up.
it's good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing great tonight. Rio Goaded, what's up, man? Good to see you in the chat as well. Good to see some of the catch fam out here, baby. All right, are we rolling into it, man? I'll
Let's
start
get
with the
into
running
it, man.
backs.
Yeah, let's get
Let's
into
get
the must
into
start
it.
running backs.
I'm excited, man. All right. I should really just say Derrick Henry at Jacksonville and then just close out the whole segment.
Oh, he's
But
going to eat Urban Meyer. Man, he's had a bad week, but it's about to get
yeah,
worse.
yeah, no kidding, no kidding. Uh, it's a good week for a lot of your stud guys for sure this week. But first guy I want to talk about is Mr. Saquon Barkley, who is facing the Dallas
Mhm.
Cowboys. I love this matchup. NFC East time, man. He looks great. He looks like he's finding his stride. Of course, he's on your team due to that
Mhm.
trade, but at least 50 rushing yards in the last 3 games. Didn't really equate to much in week 2 versus Washington, but at least one rushing touchdown in the last 2 games, right? And then also the receiving touchdown and a lot of receiving work last week versus New Orleans, man. 6 targets, 5 receptions, 74 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. And I look for him. I mean, this is actually it's a pretty difficult matchup, actually, the way that Dallas is playing right now. But I like the matchup overall, man. So uh, I'm rolling with Saquon as one of my must starts for the week. And I mean, odds are you probably are starting him, but there are some people out there who still have their doubts about Saquon overall. And maybe in lighter leagues, 8-man, 10-man leagues, potentially thinking about benching him. Don't do it, man. I like this matchup a lot. I'm rolling with Saquon Barkley all week long, baby. All right, I got another good one, man. Got another
You're
good
full.
one. I
You're
think
you're full of them, man. You're full of them, just like Richard's full of good comments, dude. His most recent comments got me laughing right now.
maybe Henry can let Vance on Meyer. Yeah, it's good stuff. Uh, we will get back to the chat. I promise, guys. We're gonna go through the must start running backs, and then we'll take a brief intermission. Then Stephen will hop in his must start receivers, and then we'll stick around for some fantasy Q&A as well. So let's see here. Man, it's a bad matchup on paper, but the way this guy is playing, I'm all for it, man. Austin Eckler versus the
Mm,
Browns.
dude's a
Uh,
badass, yo. Dude's
and
a
I think
badass.
there might be some fantasy owners out there a little bit concerned, right? Just based on the matchup, it's not the best matchup. It's probably the worst matchup he's had all season. But man, the way he played last week, fantastic, right? He's improved every week since week 1, and I only look for it to get better. And I just don't think you can afford to bench him. And I think the floor here at this point is no less than 10 points, and the ceiling is no less than 30 points. So I love where Austin Eckler is at, and I would look to continue to roll with him versus Cleveland, even though it's not the best matchup on paper overall.
Yeah, I love him this week. Even still, I mean, after what he just did for me on Monday night, I mean, he won me the week. So Super pumped about that guy. I mean, and some people were saying it in the comments last night in the live stream, but the guy's half PPR and PPR value is just unmatched. The guy's going to get so many targets per week. His baseline floor is one of the highest in all of football.
Yeah, I like where he's at a lot, man, and I would look to keep rolling with him. Like I said, James Robinson's my next back on the must start list. Look, the volume is there officially, and who knows if Urban Meyer is going to last as a head coach or not at this point. But at this point in the season, it does look like he's figured out that handing James Robinson the football is a good idea. And I like where he's at a lot, man. 18 rushes last week, 78 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, man. The receiving work wasn't there last week versus Cincinnati, but this is a very good matchup versus Tennessee. And I look for him to have a very good stat line once again. I mean, he's had over 20 fantasy points in the last 2 weeks. And the way Tennessee is playing right now, I look for that to continue. So I really like James Robinson this week here in week 5 as well. And I'm very happy that he's on my must start list because he is also on my fantasy teams in both my primary leagues. And I need him to continue to play well. So I certainly hope that he plays well here in
I
week
think I
5.
think it's a beautiful matchup. I mean, we saw Michael Carter and the Jets. Obviously, they were able to overcome the Titans, but that defense is so bad, man. It's so bad. And James Robinson, I'm actually thinking the Jaguars are going to show up for this game because there's obviously a lot of drama going on. But I think the Jags show up for this game, and I think Robinson gets some good end zone looks too.
I do too, man. And yeah, I love that they're finally doing away with the Carlos Hyde experiment. I'm all on the James Robinson hype train until it lasts, man. All right, let's see here. This one maybe not so popular, right? As this player has actually, in terms of rushing yards, gotten worse every week as the season has progressed. But his matchups have also gotten worse every week as the season has progressed. And that's Damian Harris of the
Mhm.
New England Patriots. He had an awful game versus the Buccaneers last week. Awful game. He's got Houston this week, and I look for him to bounce back against a pretty flimsy Houston defense. Who, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not the Houston defense that we used to stream against on a consistent basis, but they're still pretty bad
But we're
overall.
still streaming against them.
Yeah, yeah,
We're
sure.
still streaming against
Yeah,
them.
and I think the important thing here is if you've lost faith in Damian Harris, I think this is a good week to kind of regain that faith and maybe take him off the bench, or at least give him one more shot. And I think this is as good of a week to do it against the Houston Texans. So I like where he's at quite a bit. But when you look at the stats, yeah, it's gotten worse every week since week 1. So I mean, the only upside in week 2 is that he actually had a touchdown where he didn't in week 1. But I look for him to bounce back, like I said, and I think you can start Damian Harris with confidence in week
Yeah.
5.
If you can't do it this week too, I mean, it's like, when do you do it, right? So I think
Sure.
this is a big week for Damian Harris and the Pats. They got to win, and I think it's a good point that you're making here. I mean, this is the week to do it with Damian.
Yeah, it's a much better matchup than he's had. He had Tampa Bay last week, then he had the Saints the week before, and the Jets in week 2. Who,
Those are hard defenses
yeah,
to go against.
yeah, this Jets defense is actually okay. So
They're
yeah.
fast.
Speaking of the Jets defense, my next must start of the week and my
Oof.
final start before my 2 sleepers of the week, so to speak. Uh, Mr. Cordero Patterson himself, man, versus the New York Jets in London, 9:30 a.m. Look, man, in these London games, there's no defense. These guys are tired as hell. Nobody cares about what's happening. These are 2 teams who don't have a lot of reasons to win. If you're Zach Wilson, maybe you do. If you're Matt Ryan, I guess you got something to prove, right? But I like this start a lot, especially if Patterson is your flex player. Look, man, this guy is for real at this point in the season. And until we see this usage drop back, I don't want to encourage you guys to stop starting him, right? And I mean, look at this, guys. 82 receiving yards in the last 2 games. 3 receiving touchdowns last week versus Washington. It's just ridiculous, right? And don't get me wrong, in some leagues you can start him as a receiver, but in most leagues as I am seeing him listed as a running back, so I'm including him here on this list. But guys, the usage is there not just on the ground, but in the receiving game as well. I mean, this guy is like up there with Austin Eckler and Kamara on the season, right? It's insane. He's playing better than, most of the guys that we had ranked. Actually, all the guys we had
Like
ranked
he's
in
like
the top.
second only to Derrick Henry or
Yeah,
something, like
it's
absurd.
crazy. It depends on scoring format, but he's easily a top 5, if not a top 3 running back right now. And I'm all for this matchup versus the Jets, although we just said that they're a pretty good defense, and they are. But once again, man, when it comes to these London games, there's no defense involved whatsoever. So I like this matchup a lot before he gets a bye week. And I would start Patterson, especially in the flex, with pretty extreme confidence overall. All right, I got two more guys. I guess you could call them sleepers. They're not as big players, I would say. Uh, James Conner versus San Francisco.
Mhm.
I like this start a lot, man. He's gotten 2 touchdowns in the last 2 games versus Jacksonville and the Rams. So it's not like he did it against Jacksonville and then did it against a poor defense. And don't get me wrong, James Conner is going to be a little bit touchdown dependent overall in comparison to Chase Edmonds, right? He was getting a lot of that PPR value. But San Francisco, while they are decent overall on defense, right? I still like this matchup, a divisional matchup, man. These two teams are really going to want to beat each other and put up a lot of points against one another. So I feel good about this start with James Conner, who's got 4 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. So I think it's a great start, once again, especially at the flex position.
Having a back like him, that end zone back, the designated red zone back on like an offense like Arizona, I mean that is valuable. I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna be able to rely on a guy like that because they're always gonna be in the end zone. And I like Chase Edmonds a lot too, man. But I tell you what, it's such a dangerous like threat of James Conner because he's getting all the work in the red zone.
Absolutely, man. And speaking of another guy who is a little bit touchdown dependent, last kind of sleeper of the week, kind of flex player type guy that I feel pretty confident about, that would be Zach Moss
Mm,
of the
I love
Buffalo
that.
Bills. Well, I like Devin Singletary as well, and I actually think he's the better overall running back out of the two. Zach Moss has, throughout this season, he's tending to be the more fantasy relevant running back, right? And he's tending to be the guy who's getting more of the red zone work and the late game work. But nonetheless, this is going to be a very competitive game between the Bills and Kansas City. And I like this game script a lot for Zach Moss. I think that they are going to have to be utilizing both of these running backs throughout the entire football game. And gosh, I can't wait for this game, man. 8:20 Sunday night primetime game. And I just look for Zach Moss to have a solid overall stat line. He's had at least 1 touchdown in the last 3 games. He had 2 touchdowns in week 2 versus Miami. But he's getting involved on the ground and in the air, through the air as well. So I think it's a good stat line and a good matchup overall. And then the next week he's got Tennessee, man. I'm keeping Zach Moss in my lineup for some time to come. But yeah,
That's the most, like, unexpected thing about Zach Moss is that he can also do it through the air. I mean, he's a
yeah,
capable receiving back, and Allen will go to him. But, I mean, like, we were just saying with James Conner, having an end zone back on an explosive team is useful. Well, Zach Moss is the same guy too,
yeah.
essentially. So it's like these 2 guys are very useful for fantasy, and Zach Moss is an absolute play, I think, and I mean, honestly, he's creeping up, man. He's making a name for himself every single week, and I kind of agree with you too. I do think that Singletary might be the better back. He has
Yeah.
more tools in his toolkit, maybe, but they like Zach Moss. He's a thumper, dude. He's a thumper.
They just like to throw him in and let him take those fantasy points away from Singletary. So
And Josh Allen.
yeah, yeah, that's true too. Yeah, Josh Allen still can rush it within the end zone or red zone as well. So there you have it, guys. Those are my must start running backs on the week with a couple sleepers added in or flex play guys, right? But this is a good week, for a lot of our stud running backs as well. I mean, guys that you're obviously going to start. Derrick Henry's at Jacksonville, Zeke's at the Giants, Kamara's at Washington, Aaron Jones at Cincinnati, Chubb is at the Chargers, right? Uh, Dalvin Cook's at Detroit. Uh, I mean, it's a good week overall for a lot of our RB1s. So, I mean, some of those matchups tougher than others, but you have no reason to not be confident in the guys that you went out and drafted in the first round, early second round. So, it's a good week for running backs overall, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would say all your running backs too, I'm, like, super confident in this week. The only one that maybe I have a little bit of hesitancy on is the guy that has the most to prove, which is what we were saying, Damian Harris. It seems like I don't
yeah,
really know what the Pats' strategy is on offense, like, whether they're gonna try to open it up like back what Mac Jones was doing at Alabama maybe, we're spreading it out a little bit more, or if it's just been like it's been a recipe of the fact that they've been playing hard defenses, and so
yeah,
Harris just hasn't had a lot of work, but dude, we were talking all the time about how, it's this committee backfield that's the biggest threat to Damian Harris. Well, everybody's injured now. So it's like it's his backfield, man.
it
It is
is.
his backfield.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And Bolden's, strictly getting receiving work, so it's
I
like
don't like him. I don't
it.
love him, man.
It 100% is Damon Harris's backfield.
Yeah.
Hasn't Bolden been on the Pats for like
Yeah, dude.
15 years
Yeah,
now?
he was there when, like, the Pats beat the Rams in the Super
I
Bowl.
was like, what? That guy's still on the roster? All right, let's hop into the chat for a second, then we'll hop into the must start wide receivers. Real goaded. Hey man, he declined that trade with Hopkins and Godwin. Might have to stick with my team. Uh that sucks, man. I know it's the second trade you tried to do in like the last 24 hours, but listen, man, it's still early in the season. The interesting thing with the beginning of the fantasy season is a lot of guys that are performing right now and beating you in fantasy games might not be performing you down the stretch and in the next 4 weeks. And your guys might be the guys beating other teams in games as well. So don't get discouraged if you are quote unquote sticking with your team, man. Uh, that's what I like to do, and I'm 1-3. And I know I've been getting cooked for not doing any trades, but this might be my last year of not doing any trades, but there's plenty of time left. Real goaded, man. So don't give up, man. We got your back. All right, let's see here. Ryan Hayes, what's going on, brother? Good to see you in the chat. Hope you're doing fantastic tonight. What's up, boys? Got a trade question. D Hop for Ridley and Michael Thomas.
Ooh.
What do you think, Steven? You're the receiver guy tonight. So
Okay, so on this too, I mean, I'd want to clarify too. So is it you'd basically be getting D Hop, or you'd be getting Ridley and Michael Thomas? John, do you have an inclination, or do you?
I'm thinking he's getting DeAndre Hopkins. So
Okay, I can go
yeah,
both ways here. So, like, if you're getting D Hop, I definitely think that the deal that you're giving up makes sense because I think this is a fair trade either way, right?
sure.
Um, I would be inclined to make that deal, right? I would be inclined to give up D Hop for Ridley and Michael Thomas if you're because your team's probably struggling, right? And D Hop and Ridley are actually pretty similar on the season right now. And you get Michael Thomas, who I think when he does come back, he's going to be like the guy in this New Orleans offense. And the New Orleans Saints offense needs Michael Thomas because they're struggling so much right now. But let's flip it on its head, right? Let's say that you're doing the Ridley and you're trading off Ridley and Thomas. You're definitely going for high peak power here because right now, obviously, this Cardinals offense looks like it's so spread out, and D Hop's going to just be kind of like he's going to sacrifice on that end. He's going to not be as good as he used to be. But I think
Right.
at the end of the day, when we look back at season rankings, D Hop's going to be top 10, top 12 again, man. So especially when the Cardinals, when shit starts hitting the fan, Kyler's gonna just start striking at D Hop. That's just how it's
Yeah,
gonna go.
I agree. I think it's a good trade either way. Um, yeah, I think you hit it right on the dot, man. I think it's a good trade either way. Ryan, let us know if you need us to, clarify anything more on that. Richard Glass, maybe Henry can lap dance on Meyer. Aaron Reborn, what's up, brother? Good to see you in the chat tonight, man. Marquise L, what is going on, homie? Good to see you in the chat as well. Lots of the Catch fam coming out tonight. Good to see everyone here for the live stream. Aaron Reborn, I was up by 40 points, but Eckler went off and Waller had a decent game. And then for me, Mike Williams wanted to sit in the corner and pick his nose. So I lost by less than a point. Sorry to hear it, brother. It's tough
Oh,
out here, man. It's a
that's
tough fantasy
tragic.
season. This is one of the strangest fantasy seasons ever. Like the
Let
way
me
it's
let me
running.
ask you this, and also I want to ask this to the rest of the Catch fam too. So, would you rather lose by less than a point or get your ass just kicked by like 50? Because
Yeah.
John, you have an answer to that probably.
Yeah, I've had both happen this season. So I could say that I feel like losing by a point is not as bad as losing by like 50.
Yeah.
But it's two different emotions. One of them you're like really close and you're like, well, I had a good week, right? And I barely lost, right? the other one, you're just like, okay, when is next Sunday happening, right? So let us know, Catch fam. Would you rather lose by 1 point or 50 points in the chat? Jerry, JRX, what's going on, brother? Good to see you, man. Is McLaurin worth trading for? I'm thinking of trading Andrews and Goddard for McLaurin. I think we'd both say that's a good trade.
Yeah, we were just talking about Andrew's trade targets last night with you, man, and I think that's a great target to go after. Terry McLaurin, we were like just praising this guy endlessly in the preseason, but I think this is one of our favorite receivers in the league as well. I think Terry McLaurin's gonna have a great rest of the season.
I
The guy
agree.
gets like 1,000 targets a game.
I agree. Yeah. Scary Terry. He ain't called scary for no reason, guys.
Single-handedly, he almost beat me this week. Piece of
Yeah.
trash.
I wish he had. All right, let's see here. Jerry, yeah, I think we both think it's a good trade. And I think that would leave Schultz as your tight end one, if I remember correctly. And I think that's fine for now. Andrews hasn't been doing much. I like Goddard a little bit more. But all right, let's see here. Matt, yo, what's up, guys? What do you think of the people I'm stacking off waivers this week? Patterson, Williams, and Crowder. Patterson, yeah, eat him up, man. I don't know how he's on your waivers, man. I'm dropping Tyson Williams, Madison, and more. I think those are all, in my opinion, good additions. We need to monitor this situation with Damian Williams. He's got an upper thigh bruise, and it's not a great matchup. It's not the worst matchup versus the Raiders, but it's kind of iffy, right? I think, in my opinion, Crowder's a great addition. But yeah, Patterson should be your number one waiver priority if he's available, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And I think it's okay to drop more in Williams for sure. Madison always gives you that sneaky potential with Mr. Dalvin Cook getting injured potentially.
Yeah, I think with Madison and most handcuffs in general, right? Like it depends on where you are in your season, right? If you're closer to undefeated, then and you feel really good about your team, then you can afford to keep Madison on your team. But if you're struggling, you got only one win under your belt, maybe, then you got to kind of get rid of your handcuffs. It's time to win now.
Yeah, don't be like Steven and keep Tony Pollard on your bench all year last
Yeah,
year. Just
that was bad.
crossing his fingers for Zeke to get hurt, man. Uh Juke, what is going on, brother? Good to see everyone in the chat tonight, man. Hope you guys are all doing fantastic. Do you think that Robert Woods will get more target as the weeks go on? Or was that his ceiling and I should trade? What do you think, Steven?
Yeah, man. Yeah, this was a guy who I wanted to maybe include on my must start receiver video, but it's also like I don't know if I can do that yet with him. Right? I don't think that was his ceiling, for sure. I just don't think that like Cooper Cup's gonna like go on to shatter every single record known to man at wide receiver, which means Robert Woods eventually gonna be that guy. He's gonna come in there and he's gonna do his work that he always does. I would actually hold him. And I would look for him to build up a stronger weeks at a consistent base because I think you're going to get a higher trade value there. But you might just want to keep him too once he starts showing up. This week going against Seattle, I think he might actually have a pretty good week too. I think Cooper Cup is going to eat, but I also think Robert Woods is too.
I like Woods. I would hold on to him as well. Um, I still believe in Robert Woods on the season, man. I do.
Mhm.
Robert, we got you back here at the top. All right, Jane Scott. Hello, Jane. Good to see you in the chat
I didn't even
tonight.
see that was her.
Play Renfro or Hardman this week. This is pretty easy for me, at least. I'll let Steven give an answer too if he wants to.
Mhm.
Renfro at Chicago is a much, much better matchup than Hardman, who we have no idea how many targets he's going to get versus Buffalo. So
Yeah.
if you're asking me, Renfro's the answer all day.
Yeah, I'll double down on that. I just think Renfro, he's almost like the receiver version of Darren Waller for this Raiders team. He just
Yeah,
seems to funnel in all the targets.
yeah, and he's played well in the last 2 weeks too.
Yeah.
So
That hit
I
he put on that fake punt too, man. What a hell of a hit
yeah,
by
I mean
Mr. Renfro.
those. Well, you know what they say about those white receivers, man.
Yeah, they're scrappy.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Richard Glass would rather get his ass whipped. Matt, I'd rather lose by 50 easily. Marquise by a point. Rio goaded by 50. Good answers, guys. Good answers. Chase Brown dropping Mitchell for Damian Williams and thinking about dropping Beasley for Chenault. Both good
Mm,
moves, question mark. Good to see you, Chase, as well. Man, hope you're doing well tonight. I think they're both good moves.
yeah. It's a little bit of a teaser to my the must starts for this week.
Ooh,
So
we'll hold off.
that's a nice little tease there. But I like that move, buddy.
We'll hold off. We'll get through these last
Good
couple
good
comments
move,
that
Chase.
then we'll let Steven hop into the receivers for the night. Matt, also kind of random, but what the hell happened to James Conner? He was so productive like a year ago. Uh, he looks okay right now, man.
Hmm.
The problem is he's on the Cardinals offense, right? And there's like 47 guys that Kyler Murray can get involved, including Kyler Murray. So there's just not as much volume. And he is touchdown dependent, don't get me wrong. But on these weeks where he's scoring touchdowns, he looks extremely valuable. But also, Chase Edmonds is a good back, and Kyler
Yeah,
Murray is a half running back. So, and AJ Green is in the mix. So come on, man. AJ Green's out there.
I think.
Marquise, go ahead.
No, yeah, I think James Conner's always been a good back. I mean, we're seeing even Najee Harris, who we both are in love with. He's struggling in Pittsburgh, man. They just have not been able to block for their running backs. And then when he did go to Arizona, he just happened to go to a kind of a crowded locker room. I mean, there's just so many people to eat. So
Max Williams. You guys seen that tight end?
yeah, I
He's for
guess.
real. Marquise L. If I lose by 50, I might have to rethink my draft strategy.
Yeah,
Fair enough. I haven't
yeah,
actually lost by 50 this year yet, but it's
dude,
coming.
it can
Don't get me
happen.
wrong.
I saw this funny video of this guy. He had in week one, he had like Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Aaron Jones, and all these people that were like such good players. And it's just like you can just lose, man. Injuries
Yeah,
happen too.
you never know, man. I mean, look at Tyler in our league's one of the best teams in the whole league.
Put up like
They put up
50.
51 points last week. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you can have a stinker, man. It happens. Hopefully, it happens to Steven before me. Matt, only reason I'm dropping Madison is because I have Cook. Fair enough.
Mm,
Fair
yeah,
enough. I don't mind
fair.
that then. JRX, who do you think will have the better season, Goddard or Schultz?
They're so similar too.
They're
Similar
very, very
situations.
similar, right? There's a tight end two on both teams, Blake Jarwin and Zach Ertz. Uh, they both pass the ball a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
That's a tough question, man. Let us know in the chat, guys. Goddard or Schultz? Who do you guys have on the season?
I think for the purposes of the trade you're thinking about, though, I think you're probably going to have better chance of trading off of Goddard because he's a bigger name than Schultz. That's
Yeah,
my 2 cents, right? But I think both guys are so good and very similar situations.
Dylan Macy. Which two should I start at running back position? Hunt, Carson, or Henderson? It's a good question, man. I would roll with Kareem Hunt this week. I'm still on this Kareem Hunt train overall, and I think he's going to be a good start here again in week 5. I mean, the Chargers have been pretty stingy against running backs, right? But Josh Jacobs still had a pretty good game against them. So I do look for Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to have a good day overall. But just know that ceiling is going to be a little bit lower. The only reason I'm staying away from Carson is because I don't know what the hell we saw this past week out of the
Hmm.
Seahawks, and that scares me. And I
Yeah.
don't know what Pete Carroll's cooking up right now. So I think Chris Carson could come out and have 15 to 20 points, but I also think he could come out and not play that much for no reason. Alex Collins gets half the carries too. So it's tough to say. But Daryl Henderson is an absolute. I mean, this is a guy that I probably should have had as a must start, right? At this point in the season, we are starting any running backs versus the Seattle Seahawks for the rest of the season. They are one of the absolute worst teams in the entire league against opposing running backs. So I would say Henderson is a for sure must start out of those 3 guys and probably in general as well. And a guy shouldn't have let slip that segment. But I personally like Kareem Hunt a little bit more over Carson right now. But Henderson for sure is a start. Jake Collier. Okay, thank you for the insight. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming out
We
tonight.
appreciate you.
Steven appreciates you. Look
I
at that.
appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, that's all that matters. Jared X, I think Hunt and Carson at Dylan Carson have a good game against the Niners. That's a good point too. I just I'm worried about Pete Carroll right now. He's freaking me out, guys. It's really scaring me. Aaron Reborn, yo, if I say my lineup and bench, could you guys let me know who I should play or any potential moves I should make? Absolutely, man. Let us know.
Hmm.
Chase, Wellner, Hunt, and Henderson for me, especially at PPR.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, JRX, you're not going to be making a bad decision. You've got 3, or excuse me, that's not for JRX. It's for Dylan. I'm sorry, but you've got 3 very good running backs. You got a good problem to have, nonetheless. So I wouldn't worry too much. Kellen Brown, CD and DK for Tay. Am I who's Tay?
Devonta.
Devontae. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I was like, brain. Uh that's tough. Kellen, let us know your full roster and we'll get back to you. Dylan Macy, who's someone I could trade Michael Thomas for off my IR? I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that one, Steven?
I think it's gonna be like unless you have a friend who's a massive Saints fan, it's gonna be really tough, right?
I do too.
I
Our
think
our team that's just very, very light, hurting at the receiver position, not to cut
yeah,
you off.
or maybe if somebody's just, like, vastly, like, the best team in the league, right? And so maybe they're, like, in a position where they're like, "Okay, yeah, we'll just take somebody like this," but at the end of the day, it's gonna be tough to really get off a guy that hasn't played a snap in the season. I also wanna
Yeah,
just touch on that question right there by, Kellen Brown there, CD and, DK for Tay. Um, I would definitely I would if I were a Devontae Adams owner, I don't know why I would say no to that because that's just like you get 2 starters every week. If you're going the other way too, I think that's also a good trade too because Devontae Adams has a lot more to come into. I like that trade right there.
yeah, yeah. I don't dislike it. That's for sure. Let's see here. Chase Wellner. Terry is still a must start even against Lattimore, right? I would say so.
Mhm.
Some of these number one receivers, we made the mistake, right? Um, of not recommending Deontay Johnson versus Jair Alexander. And that was a mistake, right? Some of these
Yeah.
number one receivers, they still get some versus these number one corners. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad start whatsoever. So it's Scary Terry, right? We don't call him scary for no reason, guys. Okay. That's their saying on the season. Marquise, oh, I meant no harm. I was just saying, but anyway, my number one priority is Dawson Knox. Already have Hawkinson, but I'm not loving his production thus
Mm.
far. So I think I'll bench him for now. Listen, man, I think that's a great idea. I think you should definitely pick up Dawson Knox. And what do you?
The second point, I don't know though. I don't know if I could bench Hawkinson. That'd be tough. That's just tough. I mean, both
It is
those
tough.
guys do have good matchups. Hawkinson going up against Minnesota, but dude, I don't know. That takes some guts right there, my guy. Take
Yeah,
some guts.
yeah. I like Dawson Knox right now, though, so I'm good with it.
He's killing it.
But Hawkinson could get back to that 20-point week status,
Mhm.
right? Jake, I have Derrick Henry just traded for Christian McCaffrey. Should I trade one of them for more bench depth, or are those two together 100% league winner?
Holy
I think
shit.
so. Yeah,
Holy shit,
I
dude.
think when healthy, I think you're good to go, brother.
Did you, like, trade your soul to get those 2 guys? Like, oh my gosh. That's insane. That's amazing, dude. Congrats to you, Juke.
Yeah, I think that's going to be uh, good for you, bad for other people, right?
Yeah. I think
So
CMC is
yeah,
supposed to come back soon too.
yeah, that's the word. They're trying to get him to practice this week, is what we
Mhm.
found out, right?
He's a beast. He's not human.
All right, so let's get. We're gonna do these last two on the screen at the moment. Actually, it's like three or four, and then we're gonna let Steven cover his receivers. Actually, we're gonna do these last two, right? Oh crap! A lot of gap down action. Appreciate you guys being active tonight, man. It's a good problem. Chase Brown current roster is uh, Josh Allen, Zeke, Hubbard, CMC, Allen, Deontay, Fant. Then your flex is Boyd, defense Bengals, kicker Youngway Q, bench is Julio, Herbert, Judy, Mitchell Pollard, and Beasley. Waiver pickups are Damian, drop Mitchell, Chenault, drop Beasley, drop Bengals defense and get Cowboys, and pick up Prater for Q. That all looks good to me, man. Who should I start and sit? I think you should, looking at your roster, I think it's fine exactly the way it is.
Mhm.
But then he could potentially throw in Chenault into that flex position. But I think outside of that, you look fine. I don't think there's much to think about outside of that potential flex position. I still think Chuba has a better week than last week. I think Deontay and Allen are good starts at the receiver position, as well as Zeke at the running back position. I think Fant is going to be fine even with Teddy out. So I think the only thing you're looking at is your flex position there. Kellen Brown, the Devontae owner, is also 0-4, and I'm 4-0. Do you think they could accept? They also drafted Allen Robinson, so 3 low on receiver.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, they would definitely like that trade, I feel like.
I think you should do the trade. I do. JRX, Steven, who's the better waiver pickup, Randall Cobb or Van Jefferson? We'll stop here because it's a good question for Steven to get going into his receivers of our must start receivers for week 5. And
Mhm.
then we'll come back to the chat, guys, and we will do fantasy Q&A for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, without having the numbers up in front of me, I wanna say that it depends a little bit what you're looking for, right? I think on average, you're gonna probably see Cobb bring in a relatively more consistent floor, but Jefferson has the chance to just blow up on the scoreboard, on a random week, right? So Jefferson definitely has the higher upside, so if your team's looking for that kind of player, I'd definitely lean Jefferson. Probably at large, I would still lean Van Jefferson. I just think
I in Seattle too.
yeah, yeah, you got Seattle coming up. I think that this Rams offense, when they do open up, they target all 3 of those guys, Jefferson, Woods, and Cup. So it's really just like who's going to get it. And Jefferson seems to kind of be the deep shot guy too. I like him. The more I'm talking about it, I do like him. This is also a guy I heard he's got, it's a football background. He's a really smart kid. His dad was in the league as well. So this is a guy I know Sean McVay and that Rams offense super hype about.
There's your answer. All right, let's do it. Let's start receivers week 5.
Yeah, man. And just a little disclosure before getting into it. I try to stay away from like the really top name guys. So, Devontae Adams won't be on this, even though he's got a good matchup with Cincinnati. I think he'll ball out. But the first must start receiver that we're going to go over tonight is Justin Jefferson going up against Detroit. What we've been seeing all season long is that these Detroit games are shootouts, and Kirk Cousins is a beast in those shootout games. I mean, he lights it up. This game against Cleveland was a little disappointing, so that was unfortunate. We didn't see a ton of upside from the receivers, but we still saw Justin Jefferson ball out. He had 17 points last week, 22 and 15 the weeks before that too. So he's also been very consistent with receiving touchdowns, and that's given the fact that Adam Thielen is their red zone guy, it's pretty cool. You know what I mean? But he still hasn't had that week that's been like, damn, like that was that guy last year, right? I
Sure.
think it's this week against Detroit. I mean, he had 7 targets last week, pulled in 5 of them for 80. Justin Jefferson's one of my favorite receivers already, so I'm a little bit biased, but I just think this is like too juicy of a matchup to get away from. And
Yeah.
if you can put him in your lineups and you're not already doing it, definitely jump on that.
I when I was thinking of this video, this stream for tonight, this was the first guy that popped into my head that if I was covering the receivers, this was going to be the first guy I would talk about. So I love it. I love
Yeah.
that he's the first guy you talked about. He's had a touchdown in the last 3 games. He's had at least 60 receiving yards in every game and at least 7 targets every game this season. I love Justin Jefferson. I think it's a fantastic start. I
Mhm.
think it's a great way to kick off week 5 must start wide receivers.
Yeah, this next guy, it's almost like a pick of the litter right here whenever we talk about this offense. But for Tampa Bay, Mike Evans is going to be the guy that I think has the biggest game out of this offense for a couple reasons. But I thought it was surprising. I noticed this today. He actually leads the team in targets. I totally would have thought it would have been Antonio Brown or maybe not Brown because he missed the game, but Godwin especially, right? He just
Yeah.
seemed to be always the guy that the ball was going to, but it's actually Mike Evans. And Mike Evans, he hasn't had outside of week 2 against Atlanta, he hasn't really had that week to blow up. But you mentioned it earlier, right? We were doing a video and you were talking about how Mike Evans just seems to always blow up against bad teams. Well, Miami is not great against, well, really anything, but also the pass. Tom Brady's coming off of that game where he played bad. I mean, Mac Jones outperformed him, in my opinion. I think Tom Brady's going to come out here being in Miami, it's going to be better weather, hopefully. and he's just gonna shred that defense, yo.
Mhm.
I think all these players eat, but I think Mike Evans in particular eats, and I think we saw him as the crutch for the red zone targets before Gronkowski this year came on. Well, Gronk's banged up, right? So I think Mike Evans kind of reassumes that role. I think he's an absolute lock right here. And this is a week where if I could trade my guy, Chris Godwin, for Mike Evans, I would actually do that. But I feel confident in all three of those guys that I mentioned.
Yeah, I like this addition to the list for the week. Most targets of the entire season last week, 12 targets versus New England. So coming off of a good pace, and he still has had 7 red zone targets on the season, only
Mhm.
2 touchdowns on the season. But the red zone targets are still pretty promising. They would really bolster these stat lines even further. So I think it's a good pick as well.
Yeah, and that's I mean, for Mike Evans owners out there, that's something to be excited about, not disappointed about, right? Because like you look at Evans, you drafted him for the touchdowns, right? He
Yeah.
hasn't delivered that, but he's still been okay. So when the touchdowns come, which they will come because Tom Brady's going to throw a shit ton of touchdowns, it's going to be really good for your fantasy team. Um, Here's another guy who's super, touchdown consistent, it seems like, throughout his history, but Jamar Chase, he's gonna make it on my list again. You know, every week up until last week, he was scoring a touchdown, and I was actually getting a little scared. I mentioned it in my video last week. I was like, his efficiency is just too high right now. It's gotta regress. He's so touchdown dependent because of the target share. It seems like he's got like 4 catches, and it would always be a touchdown that would make his day. Well, he played Jacksonville, and it was kind of the other story, right? He had 9 targets, turned 6 of those into catches, had roughly 80 yards, didn't get the touchdown, but he looked amazing. I mean, whenever he would touch the ball, you could just tell he was better than anybody he was playing against. I mean, he came out, he had a quote, he was like, he doesn't think he's in competition with anyone. He thinks everybody's in competition with him. He's got that LSU swagger, man. Him and Burrow together, it's just you gotta put him in there, right? And I think Chase, he's so good. I think he's 6th on the year right now in terms of rankings, but I still think there's question marks around if you can start this guy week to week, and that's why I included him, because I would consider maybe looking at a different direction just because he's a Bengal, but let's go a step further with that too, and it's like Joe Mixon obviously banged up, right? People are looking at Samaje Perine. The guy looks like he's 40 years old, and he's like 20. But my point is that with Joe Mixon banged up, the over right now is like 50 something points going to have to shoot out against Green Bay. I just think there's a lot of opportunities for not only a touchdown shot, but a lot of catches and targets.
I like this addition a lot to the list, man. And the only comment I have is kudos to you for taking a chance on the guy who could not catch footballs because they did not
Yeah.
have the LSU Tiger stripes on them in the draft.
What a
Eh,
terrible thing to say.
Yeah, and but yeah, I like this addition, and shout out to you for drafting him so late because I gave up on him, man. He's balling right now,
It
man.
was an accidental draft pick.
Yeah,
It sucks to have to say it, but I was
yeah,
like, it was one of those picks where you're just like, "Oh, fuck, who do I grab?" And I was like, "I'll take a shot," and it
yeah.
worked out,
It
man.
worked out,
So
man. Yeah,
I can't take too much credit, but here's one guy I missed out on, and because I should have picked him up on the waivers when he wasn't doing much. But we're gonna start getting into the guys that are a little bit grosser, but I think are gonna start becoming good pickups on a week to week basis, or especially this week, right? Emmanuel Sanders.
yeah.
Emmanuel Sanders, the past 2 weeks has really come on. Week 3 against Washington, he had 23 points, got 2 touchdowns. Obviously, a lot of those points were banked off of those touchdowns, but last week against Houston, I thought he was gonna do more. I thought that he would get a touchdown, but that weather was so shitty. It just seemed like you never really knew who was gonna get a good shot there. But this week going up against Kansas City, the over is like close to 60, and I always get nervous, right? I'm always like, "Oh, 2 great offenses, Sunday Night Football. Is it not gonna be super high scoring?" Dude, this game is gonna be nuts, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
this is gonna be a lights out, guns blazing. These 2 gunslingers are gonna be ready to go, and I want action everywhere, right? Problem is who's gonna get the score, right? Is it gonna be Dawson Knox, who you guys are talking about? I think he's got a shot, right? Is it gonna be Stephon Diggs? I love Diggs. I think Diggs is gonna ball out too. But Sanders is the guy I think who's also gonna really eat, right? Because he's gonna see less of the top defender, right, than Diggs would. There's obviously Cole Beasley too, that I could have picked here, but I think Emmanuel Sanders just presents more valuable targets, getting those deep shots, getting the red zone looks. But I'd be interested to see what you think about Sanders too. I know you're a fan of him his whole career.
Absolutely, man. I mean, at least 6 targets in the last 3 games and at least 1 red zone target in the last 3 games as well. So, I'm all for it, man, and I completely agree that this is going to be, a bit of a shootout overall. I mean, it's always easy to say, "Ah, maybe this goes defensively, and maybe it's a slower game," but I agree with you. I don't see that happening here on Sunday night. Both these teams need to win.
Mhm.
The Bills need to keep this momentum going, after that week 1 loss against Pittsburgh, right? And Kansas City's last in their division, man, and they need to win more than anyone in the league right now in prime time against a good football team. And this Bills defense is quite good, but I do believe that Kansas City is going to be able to come out and put up some offensive points pretty quickly, um, and at least keep up with the Bills, right? And that's the biggest thing is that I actually think Kansas City is going to have to be keeping up with Buffalo in this game, and I
Mhm.
think they're going to be capable of doing so. Uh, but Buffalo themselves, I think, is going to come out. I think they're going to have a good offensive performance overall.
First real test for this Buffalo defense, honestly. So,
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how they hold up. Obviously, they got the hardest test going up against Mahomes, but like you
yeah,
said, man, I think Mahomes is gonna have to be catching up here because this Bills team looks about as complete as any team I've seen in a while.
yep.
Um, but a guy on a team that's a complete opposite spectrum there, Corey Davis, your guy. I think Corey Davis is another
Let's
guy.
go.
Yeah, I think Corey Davis, you can include him, right? He was in my must starts last week going up against Tennessee because of the matchup. Well, this
Yeah,
week he's got Atlanta, right? You talked about, Cordero in this Jets matchup, maybe having an opportunity because of the London lag, right? People, defenses don't really show up historically. I think it's the same situation here, and that's kind of coupled with the fact that Zach Wilson just seems to go with him is 1, 2, and 3 read, right? Uh,
yeah.
only asterisk, right, is obviously Crowder is now back on the floor. He's pretty good. Definitely a hot waiver wire target for a lot of people. Um, I still think Corey Davis is the better guy here. And we're seeing Atlanta Falcons get burned by these deep throws. And Davis is a dog at that, man. Like
Yeah,
Wilson just like he's just like go, go. That arm is
yeah.
like nuts. Like I love Zach Wilson's arm. And Corey Davis is gonna benefit from it all year. And I think he benefits from it this week too.
He made some good throws last week, man. He made some of those throws that made him the number 2 overall pick in the draft, what fans have been waiting for. But more importantly, I mean, Corey Davis, outside of week 2, has had at least 7 targets every game this year.
Hmm.
And he's coming off his best performance on the year overall, right? I mean, fantasy wise, he had more points because he had 2 touchdowns in week 1, but still most receiving yards and 1 score last week versus Tennessee in a great revenge game. Don't be like me who benched him versus Tennessee. Started him in my 20 man league, benched him in my 12-man league. I'm not benching Corey Davis this week, man. I'm not. It's a great matchup versus Atlanta as well, who have been very bad against opposing receivers.
Yeah, before jumping on to the next guy, I think what we're going to start seeing here is the recurring thing with Corey Davis is like he's going to obviously see the target volume every week, but I think he's a must start when it's bad competition because then Zach Wilson isn't going to throw it to the defense, right?
Yeah,
So it's like if it's not going to the defense, it's going to Corey Davis, right?
sure. I agree.
But another guy here who's got a good matchup, Laviska Shenault. We've been
Mhm.
talking about him nonstop. I definitely want to bounce this off of you too, but I think with DJ Chark going down, this allows Laviska Shenault to assume some of that preseason value that everybody was giving him. I think a lot of people thought this was going to be the guy in this offense, and then it turned into Marvin Jones, and then it kind of turned into DJ Chark at weeks. I think it's now going to be kind of become Laviska Shenault show with
Mhm.
Marvin Jones still there as well because I think Marvin's very valuable as well. But Laviska Shenault had more targets and catches last week, had 99 yards. He looked very, very good in my opinion, and he's just I think a better athlete than Marvin Jones. He had 14 points against Cincinnati last week, and he's going up against Tennessee, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a
and
big
that
part.
that's yeah, that's the biggest part about this
Yeah,
is that whoever's going up against Tennessee, you can automatically throw them in your lineup with confidence because if your quarterback can throw the ball physically, just like not have like broken arms, like I think it's going to work out for you, right? And Trevor Lawrence showed to me last week as well that he can throw that rock. Yeah.
He can
Um,
throw that rock, brother.
yeah, and Cincinnati, man, that was a must-start defense for me going into that week with those 2 matched up. It was a must-start defense across a lot of people's thoughts. And Trevor Lawrence and Laviska Shenault really did shine against those guys, so I think it's an easier matchup, and I definitely think you're gonna have a lot of good value here.
Yeah, I think it's a great match, or great start for the week just based on the matchup. That's all I'm really looking at here. Is like you said, they're facing Tennessee. This is the worst defense that the Jacksonville Jaguars have faced all season long. So I love this start, man. And
Mhm.
he's definitely going to take away, uh, you know, any of those targets that DJ Chark was potentially getting. So, yeah, I got nothing else to say, man. I think it's a great
Yeah.
start. And yeah, I would start any receiver against the Tennessee Titans right now.
Yeah, and I think it's Chase that, we were recommending puts in his lineup at his flex, and I mean,
Yeah,
if you're listening, man, like, that's kind of the reasoning for that is just that, there's so much going in his favor. Boyd's a great option too, but I definitely think
yeah,
Chenault's in for a good week this week. Um, and here's, like, definitely sleeper, deeper league, right? But I think, in all leagues, he's probably gonna have a good game, right? And it kind of beats to the same drum that you were talking about with Damian Harris, matchup. But Jacoby Myers, I think, is a good play here.
mm,
The Houston Texans are ninth, against passing quarterbacks and receivers. So they're not like the easiest defense to go against, surprisingly. But the thing with Jacoby Myers, man, is he just is Mr. Consistent. This guy gets so many targets and catches a game, and he balled out against Tampa Bay. Last week, he had 12 targets,
yeah.
8 receptions. He always has like around like 70 to 90 yards receiving. I mean, over the past 2 weeks, at least, anyways. He's very consistent. And this is like, if anybody has positive touchdown regression, like it's Jacoby Myers. I seriously don't think he's ever scored in his career, and the guy sees like a gazillion targets.
Yeah,
He was my favorite receiver on this team coming into the season, and it's for
same.
that exact reason. If you're in a half PPR, the guy's just got unlimited volume, right, or unlimited value on a consistent basis, and I think you could plug him into your flex and be very happy with the performance, especially in deeper leagues.
Yeah, I mean it's toughest matchup he's had since week 2. But just looking at the targets in the last 2 weeks, 12 targets against Tampa Bay, then 14 the week before against New Orleans. I agree with you, man. I think it's a good start, especially in, like you said, full PPR, half PPR, deeper leagues. I think it's a good start, man.
Mhm, and I think just because of game script too, I mean, the Patriots were the number 1 defense on my must starts, and, I think the game script is there's probably gonna be a lot of turnovers that happen because Bill Belichick is like a rookie quarterback's nightmare, and
Yeah,
that's gonna result in just more offensive opportunity, and I do think the Pats also realized playing against Tampa Bay that the way to really unlock Mac Jones, because he seemed kinda tapped until last week, is to give him confidence. Let him throw that rock, man. Let him go out there and compete. Stop, holding him back. And I think that's going to directly benefit Jacoby Myers going forward.
let the mac and cheese loose,
Dude,
guys.
let's bake some mac and cheese, man. Let's let him go, dude. Let's let
Let
him
the
go.
Big
Let's let him
Mac
eat.
loose. Come on, Bill. You know what to do. Peace.
But that's the
All right,
must
man.
start receivers, man. Yeah,
That's the
that's
must start
good.
receivers
I'm
week
feeling
5.
confident about those guys. I think they're all going to be locked and loaded this week.
Well, if Steven's confident, that's saying a lot. So it's probably a good sign. All right. Love it, man. I think those are all good picks. Absolutely, man. I think it's going to be a good week for a lot of receivers, man. I think it's going to be a good week overall,
Mhm.
guys. Really do. All right. Let's catch up with the chat for a bit. Sorry to leave you guys hanging. Hope you guys enjoyed both the must start running back segment and the must start receiver segment for week 5. Let's see
Oh, well,
here. Let's see.
it was right
Trying to get
after Jerry's, right? At
yes, yes,
8:01.
yes. Let's see. Okay. Dylan Macy. Full team is Wilson Lamar, Carson Hunt, Henderson Williams, Adams Allen, Max Williams. Let's go, Max Williams. AJ Brown, Waddle, and Waller and Higby. And you were looking to trade Devonte Adams for Hopkins and Michael Thomas, correct? I believe that was right. Honestly, man, if you're asking me, I would hold on to Adams there. I just don't think you need. I mean, there's the potential value of Michael Thomas and Hopkins together, but I kind of like Devonte Adams more than those two guys.
Yeah, I do too. Trying to look back to the original question too. I like his team in general. My biggest concern is around his running backs. I do think Hunt has been really, really good and surprising this year so far, but, Carson, just like you were saying earlier, concerns me. Um, but yeah, good receivers for sure all the way down, and you got freaking Waller. What a badass.
Aaron Reborn. So my lineup is Hurts, Hunt, Robinson, Devonte Adams, Mike Williams, Kelsey, Patterson, Bills defense, and Zerline at kicker. On the bench, got Danny Dimes, Marvin Jones, Gano, Doyle, Allen Robinson, Sterling Shepard, Myers, and just picked up Tyler Boyd.
Nice pickup.
Yeah, I agree. I like your starting lineup though. I don't know that I would change anything there.
Mm,
Hurts, Hunt, Robinson, Devontae, Mike Williams, Kelsey, Patterson. I like your bench too, but I don't think I'd change anything.
yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that you can maybe change, and it really just depends on your matchup, like, if you really think it's worth it, is dropping a bench guy, like maybe a Doyle, for another defense to stream this week. I don't think the Bills are gonna be able to carry over that, absolute dominance they've had on a week-to-week basis against Kansas City. It's just we've never seen that happen before, really,
Sure.
so, that would be my only asterisk with the team this week going in, but other than that, man, yeah, you got a badass squad.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. That's a good catch. I just thought Bills, and I was like, "Yep, you're good." Bills defense,
They're sick.
and
They're
I
sick.
kind of forgot for a second they are playing against Patty Mahomes this week. So I think that's a good point, Steven. Juke, I drafted Henry and traded Diggs, Johnson, and Mike Davis for CMC and Pittman. Holy
Okay, so
shit!
you did give up a decent amount.
Yeah, but still, I
Actually,
still think
not really, yo. Mike
yeah,
Davis?
yeah,
Yeah, that was
double, and he still got Pittman back, so it's not like he lost all that value at receiver. So kudos to you,
wow.
Juke. That's what's up.
Yeah, you, like, robbed that guy's house. Like, you just went in there and
Point blank.
stole
Yeah,
everything, and you just, like, left
yeah.
some cheese on the ground for him. You're like, "Here, this is what you can have. You can have some scraps." Jeez,
Uh,
good job.
Jack Serville, what's going on, man? Good to see you in the chat.
Hey.
Good to have you here, brother. JRX looking for a decent flex option. So that's probably in reference to Randall Cobb versus Van Jefferson.
Mhm.
Let's see here. Brad Montgomery. You drop one, keep one on the season. Chase or McLaurin? Who you
Oh,
got?
wow, man. That's like some, like, Russian roulette kinda thing right there. That's 2 amazing
Woo,
players right there.
woo. I think I'd hold on to Terry. But I like both of them a lot. Nothing bad against either of them.
Yeah, I think I'd go Terry too, and I mean, I don't know if this is your reasoning, but I think they're both such great players, but I just think Terry's probably got a better chance to have consistent volume. Whereas Jamar Chase, obviously, when Higgins comes back, you got Higgins, you got Boyd, you got Mixon when he's healthy getting targets too, and this freaking tight end is a beast as well, it seems. So, yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of mouths to feed when that offense is fully healthy.
Uzma is balling, man. Last
Mhm.
week, I like my guy Uzma. Brad Montgomery, sorry, got punched a lot today. What's up, guys? What's going on, brother? It's good to have you here, man. Appreciate the question. Hope you're doing fantastic. Hope all of the Catch fam is doing fantastic. And I appreciate all you guys coming out to the stream tonight. Supersize Senpai, how's it going, my guy? What's up, brother? Good to have you here as always, my guy. Happy to see you, man. Let's see here. Fantasy catch up. What's up, bro? What's going on, man? It's good to see you as always as well.
Always good to see him.
Supersize Senpai, which of these wide receivers is worth holding on to for the season? Manuel Sanders, Devontae Parker, or Robbie Anderson? I think you guys know my answer. I'm saying Manuel Sanders all day.
Yeah, it sucks because definitely we would be slamming the Robbie Anderson name before the season started. But obviously he's been just a total disappointment, and Christian McCaffrey coming back is only even worse for him. So I think that's Sanders, and not much question about it.
I 100% agree. Fantasy catch up. Who do I start at quarterback this week, man? We will be doing our must start quarterbacks tomorrow night on tomorrow night's stream. Must start quarterbacks and tight ends. So maybe we save it for then. Like I
Yeah, I
said,
mean,
Josh Allen, man,
nice little teaser, for sure too.
Sam
It's
Darnold.
also let us know who you think. Yeah, because Sam Darnold is going to be on the video. That's a little quick tease, but
Yeah.
um, also just let us know who you have as well, right?
Well, I believe he plays through DraftKings, so he can.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah,
That's nice because I think you
yeah.
might get Sam Darnold pretty cheap too. So, but definitely
Danny
tune in tomorrow.
Dimes.
We will be running
Mm,
through that.
we will run through tomorrow, my guy, for sure. We don't
Yeah.
want to spoil tomorrow's stream.
No,
Jason Kenobi, what's up, brother? Good to see you, dog. Shout out
man.
Jason Kenobi. Anyone else watching Yankees and Red Sox? Uh,
Actually, let us know in the chat how that game's going. There was a boost on this betting app I had for the Red Sox to win. So interested to see how that turns out because I did not do it.
Supersize Senpei, does Trey Lance have more upside than Justin Fields? Because I'm losing faith in Fields. I think we both agree that Lance, who had 20 points just being thrown into a game on just the second half of a game,
Yeah.
I'm going with the upside in Trey Lance.
Yeah, Trey Lance's, like, floor is absolutely unre this guy's running ability, I mean, we talked about it, I think, in the preseason, but his comp was Lamar Jackson, but the guy can also process reads like an absolute legend, and, Justin Fields can't, so, I'm high on both these guys career-wise, but, yeah, I think we both say Trey Lance here, no question.
Absolutely. And I know Steven is very happy about this.
Yes.
He's been waiting for this.
Yeah, yeah. I have
So,
butterflies just thinking about putting
yeah,
Trey Lance in my lineup
yeah.
eventually.
Of course. The guy that Steven drafts is the only relevant uh, rookie quarterback from a fantasy perspective.
But let me just say this, I mean, like, I mean, because you got Allen on there too, like, you could probably feel confident I mean, obviously, it's way too early to say that, right? But, like, don't you think that Lance does have maybe some more upside, or he's at least in a name caliber of, like, a Josh Allen if he does perform to what we're thinking? Just because of that rushing ability? I mean, he's a beast.
You really like this guy.
He's better than Hurts, man, in my opinion, and he's with
He's played like 2 quarters.
dude, he's the greatest quarterback to ever live,
Okay.
okay?
Let us know in the chat where you guys stand on Trey Lance for the rest of the season. What
Yeah.
are you guys thinking about Trey Lance? Are you at Steven level? Are you a little bit
Boom.
more conservative like where I am? Just still trying to get a larger sample size. Interested to know.
Trade everything for him. Your
Yeah.
whole team.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Mentality. Should I give up Chubb, McCaffrey, and Logan Thomas for Michael Thomas, Eckler, and Waller? That's a tough one. Giving up Chubb and McCaffrey, I don't think you should do it.
No.
I mean, I think we both really like Eckler and Waller, and Logan Thomas is hurt. So, and I mean, McCaffrey is hurt. So I know that it probably seems pretty attractive right now from a trade standpoint. But I think in the long run, this one could end up hurting you.
Mhm.
It might benefit you right away in terms of having Eckler and Waller to plug in. But I feel like down the stretch, you're gonna want both Chubb and McCaffrey, which is a nasty duo. And when Logan Thomas is back, man, I think you're good there as well. Not necessarily Darren Waller level, but before he got hurt, he was sitting at like tight end 6 on the season. So I would be hesitant on that trade.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Waller's really good. I mean, dominant, but tight end is definitely a less valuable position than
Yeah.
running back, and it looks like you're giving up a lot of depth right there at running back, so I don't
If
know if I like that trade.
if you were getting 2 running backs, Eckler and then another RB1, I mean, it doesn't even have to be the best running back out there. I mean, even a Gibson or a Jonathan Taylor, then maybe I would consider this, but uh basically trading Chubb for Eckler and Thomas for Waller, then you look at it this way, McCaffrey for Michael Thomas, right? It just doesn't it's not equating for me. So
Yeah,
don't give up on McCaffrey, man. He might be back in the next week or two, and he is still, when healthy, the best player in all fantasy football, right? So
and you could probably also say too that, like, obviously Eckler's performing amazing, but even with the outstanding performances he's left the game in every single game. Like,
Sure.
he is so injury prone. I don't know if I'd wanna rely on him as being potentially, like, my only back, because 'cause you're giving up those 2 guys right there, so just another
Sure.
little nugget of why I'd be concerned about this trade.
Coming from an Eckler owner.
Yep,
You took him number 5 in
yeah.
the draft. Chase Brown. Now I'm tempted to pick up Sanders over Chenault. I don't know what to do. I want both. LOL. Plus, I have Allen, so I can have the stack.
Yeah, that's a nice option.
I'll say it this way. I like both of them a lot. Chenault has less competition for targets
Mhm.
overall. Sanders has like 2 offensive linemen competing for targets and 5 other receivers and a tight end and 2 running backs. So I think Chenault might be the safer play as much as I like Sanders in terms of consistency. But the
Yeah,
ceiling is going to be higher for Sanders.
yeah, I'll definitely bang on that too. That's a good point you put in there. I just think obviously Sanders has that upside. So if you're in a situation where you think your opponent's way better than you, it just that week, right? Like if he's projected more points, you might have to rely on a guy who might give you that high ceiling. Um, but both guys are so good, man. And I think they both do well. But I like what you're saying there. I think that I mean, we were just talking about it too. I mean, you got Diggs, you got Beasley. I mean, you just have so many people to get the ball.
Yeah, yeah. But I like the idea of having the stack of Sanders and Allen. But
Yeah.
I think Chenault might end up being more consistent. But like I said, I think Sanders might have a higher ceiling. So it's tough. I want both of them too, man.
I want
Uh,
both of them rest of the season. That's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. If I can figure out a way to get both of them on my roster, I'd be very happy. Because my receivers suck. Okay. Roger Hughes. Should I trade Lockett and Waller for Hopkins, Carson, and Higby? Mm. I don't hate that trade, but I don't like to drop off of value at tight end. I just don't think Darren Waller can be underestimated from a fantasy perspective. Um, I don't mind the rest of the swap, but I'm not crazy about. I mean, Tyler Higby's still sitting around like tight end 12, but his ceiling compared to Darren Waller's ceiling is like 2 different atmospheres, right? Uh, it's not the worst trade. I mean, you're still getting an RB1, a wide receiver 1, um, but
Is he a
also
RB1? Is he an RB1?
yeah, maybe not. Maybe not anymore. What the hell, Pete Carroll? It's the first time Pete
Yeah.
Carroll's ever, like, pissed me off.
He's almost like Kyle Shanahan. These guys, I just can't trust them.
I would hold off for now, would be my
Yep.
final answer. Aaron Reborn, thank you. Since I have so many receivers, do you think I should try and maybe move Mike Williams and, like, Sterling Shepard or Jones or, like, a Hopkins? I would potentially look to trade Julio Jones out of those 3. I
Yeah.
still believe in Sterling Shepard, but, I still believe in Mike Williams after he had a stinker of a game. And I want to give up on Hopkins, man. We know what D Hop can do, right? Uh, if you're going to trade one of those guys, I would look for it to be Julio Jones.
Yeah, because I think when Shepard comes back, he was so consistent. I agree with you. I think that's a good trade, and I believe in Hopkins a little bit more than Williams, which sounds nuts because they're having 2 totally different seasons. But when a guy like that doesn't do anything, eventually does do nothing, like Mike Williams did this week, it's a little spooky, right?
A little spooky. It's October, guys.
Yeah.
All right, Marquise L. Thanks for the Mike Evans confidence. He's been on my bench since week 2. I think I'm going to start Tyreek Hill, Williams, and Mike Evans in the
Oof.
flex with,
Wow.
yeah, wow, the scary lineup.
Yeah.
With Marvin Jones, Cooks, and Shepard on the bench. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like that lineup a lot, man, and I think they
Yeah.
have a great bench as well.
I think Cooks is this is gonna be, like, the first time where I feel relatively confident putting him on my bench because he's obviously been pretty consistent outside of last week, but, yeah, I think that that lineup is scary. That's all I gotta say. Williams, Evans, and Hill, you could destroy your opponent this week if it works out.
Litsky, I think he's going to be great. Good to see you out here tonight. Richard Glass, I like Steven's thoughts on Gainwell. Yeah, I was hating on Gainwell, and I got that wrong, guys. So Everyone give Steven a pat on the back.
Dude, it really is just like I hate Sanders. Like, I was like,
Yeah,
this
you
guy is
always have
just
hated Sanders. You've
yeah,
been
I was
you've
like
been long on that one, man.
yeah, I think that I thought Gainwell was really good coming out of college and has the pass catching ability. So, I mean, we kinda see him already take over that RB1 role, but, I'm still not too confident in, like, putting him in my lineup unless you're in a deeper league, but pretty soon here, I think Gainwell's gonna be the guy. And that's why he's been on my bench all year, and I'm waiting for it.
Steven in these handcuff situations, man.
I have, like, 80 handcuffs on my team right now. I have
Uh,
Allen, Madison, Gainwell.
yeah, you usually do. You usually do.
Yeah.
JRX at Steven, how did you manage that crazy trade? This came up last night after you got off the stream.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so let's get Steven's official word on his trade.
So it, had to do with coming to him and threatening him. No, no, basically, um, Brady, he was kinda my guy coming into the year. We loved him. So it was hard moving off of Brady, but I had an idea that that was probably gonna be peak of powers Brady at that point, and I was trying to shop him to a lot of people. And I knew I needed a running back and consistent, and at that point, it was like Saquon was the guy that I thought was gonna be having a really big rest of season. I gotta say, talking to John on this too, I mean, we were both like, "Is Saquon for Brady, like, a very reasonable trade, or can you throw somebody else in?" And Josh Allen, dude, this guy, like, hated Josh Allen. He was so pissed off with him, and he was also a big Giants fan. It was super low on Saquon Barkley for some reason. So it was kind of a perfect storm, right? I don't think in a lot of scenarios that trade maybe would have been pulled off. I can tell you that the other owners were really pissed off. Um,
That's what
eh
I told them last night, and
yeah.
then, like, I was, like, blanking out for a second, they were all like, John, it looks like you're the person you're referencing about being pissed off about that trade." I was like, "No, I really wasn't mad about it."
I
I
mean,
mean, you called me and we talked about the logistics of this trade for like 40 minutes. I think the best part of it is that you traded him DJ Chark, who got
yeah,
injured.
dude. That was the worst part about it for him. He texted me
Yeah.
right after it happened, and he was just like, "F you, dude." And I was
And
like
the
I was like,
week
"I'm sorry."
after you guys did the trade, he literally lost by like exactly 40 points, which is exactly the amount of points that Allen and Barkley had put together that week. So it's just like,
This
yeah,
this this guy's really gotten it bad, but, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you gotta come for somebody that's the thing, right? You can be fair about it, you can think, "Maybe I'm getting it over him, I'm gonna, not do it to him," or you can go for the throat, and I went for his throat right there.
you definitely won the trade, at least at this point in the season. It's a long
Yeah, dude.
season.
Brady's
It
got a
was a
lot of
good
time.
it was a good play to trade Brady while he's hot, while he
And
was that hot.
insight into that guy's team too. I mean, he has Brady, Hill, and Kittle, right? So,
Yeah.
that's not a bad trio right there to have. Obviously, Kittle's been a little disappointing, but I mean, that guy's still got a good squad.
He was very thin at receiver outside of Hill, so that was a
Mhm,
big part of the trade too.
mhm.
But interesting enough, he's also very thin at running back, and he traded away Barkley. So,
Dude, he is obsessed with Philip Lindsay and has started the last 2 weeks.
all right.
Like, I don't I think that's the last comment that's needed
Yeah,
on his
yeah.
team.
It makes me feel good because I'm like, I think I'm 11th in our league right now,
Yeah, don't
but he's
worry.
12th and he has not won a single game. So I'm like looking
Yeah.
exponentially better. So it gives me a cushion. Supersize Senpei, greatest quarterback that ever lived. You say, guess I'm dropping $100 for Trey Lance. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Fair enough.
Chase Brown. So since I have Hertz in one league, you're saying I should pick up Lance and start him over Hertz this week.
Every week, man, just cut him. No, but on a serious note, I I think we both agree that Lance is a potential start this week. It's kind of a hard matchup though against Arizona. I would definitely start Hurts over Lance this week for sure. Or no, Hurts over Lance if I didn't say that correctly. I want to see more to Trey Lance, but I do think this is a guy that is going to be a starter for your fantasy teams given one more week of letting him kind of roll with it and be the starter coming into the game.
Let's see here. Litsky, what wide receiver can I get with Joe Mixon and Robert Woods? Probably a pretty good receiver, if you're asking me,
Yeah, a really good receiver if you're trading Joe Mixon
especially for a running
and
back
Robert
needy team.
Woods. That's
Yeah,
like
and
a
I think you
top
get a stud receiver, man.
top 8, top 6 receiver.
Yeah,
Let's
especially if the team is, you know, pretty lengthy at receiver and hurting at the running back position, man.
let's pull. You want to take a look and just see if there's some guys here,
Oh,
maybe.
there's some guys here, guys. There's always some guys.
There are some dudes there.
There's some
Um,
dudes out there. Yeah.
do you think he could get? Let me just tell you where, or tell me where the cutoff is here. Do you think he could get a guy like Cooper Cup,
Potentially. See,
trading
the thing
Robert
is,
Woods for
like,
Cup and getting Joe Mixon, right?
yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, if the team is desperate enough at the running back position and at the same time wide receiver heavy, you might be able to get anyone, but it kind of
Mhm.
depends on your league and each specific team is kind of the difficult part.
I would also be looking at guys like DJ Moore potentially. Um, you really, dude, Joe Mixon's so good though. I don't know if you want to go too far under top 5 with how
I
good he
agree.
is, unless
Yeah.
you, like you said, right, the receiver running back balance. You know, where are
Yeah.
you strong at? Where are you weak at?
Yeah. I think another guy, maybe even like a Justin Jefferson, right?
Yeah.
Who's Stephon Diggs.
Or if
I
Hill
like
has another bad game, man, I
yeah, I
think
like DJ Moore. I mean, it's a good time to trade for Diggs if you can do it before the week starts. 'Cause he's got Kansas City and then Tennessee, and then on the turnaround after the bye, he's got Miami and Jacksonville.
yeah.
Although his playoff schedule is pretty hard, but Diggs plays well against tough matchups. So
I Ben owns, Diggs in fantasy, and I definitely sense that he's relatively frustrated with Diggs. Um, I feel like he would be willing to shop for that type of deal right there for sure. So, yeah, I mean, Diggs is definitely somebody that people are frustrated with. I think he's either outside of the top 24. Yeah, I think he's, like, at 24 right now, depending on your league.
yeah, he is. It's a good call. Super size and pay. If I'm able to get Trey Lance off waivers and he starts this week, should I start him over Chuba Hubbard? I don't hate that.
I like that because we I don't know. I mean, John, I also wanna get your insight into what you really felt about Chuba Hubbard there, but, I do think Trey Lance is a guy that is transcendent in terms of his rushing and passing capabilities are elite, coming into the NFL. That was no question. It's really if he's gonna do well, and we're still waiting to see that, right? But he did play well. Played pretty decent, especially on the rushing side against Seattle. So I think you can play him, and depending on what kind of league you're in, right? I definitely think he's gonna deliver higher value than Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, it's a hard question. I mean, Chuba's got Philly this week, right? And I'm not crazy about Chuba with what we saw out of him last week. I think he needs some more time to really kind of develop as a true RB1. And I mean, Trey Lance has got Arizona. It's not the prettiest matchup. It's a far better matchup for Chuba.
Not the
Um,
ugliest, though. We've seen quarterbacks do well against Arizona.
that's true.
Good
That's true.
quarterbacks.
So I would say, yeah, why not?
Yeah, and
Do it for the catch. Do it for Steven, man.
what do you I mean, like, Chuba Hubbard, like, also isn't, like, really the best pass catching back, and, dude, Sam Darnold's the leading rushing touchdown guy in the NFL, so it's like, you're getting a running back that's kinda got some upside cut off from the jump, right? So, a little concerned about that dude in general.
Hmm. It's a tough call, but I would say Trey Lance, man,
Yeah.
personally. All right, let's see here. Chase Brown. I could get both since I'm going to drop Beasley for Chenault, but I can either drop Pollard or even Julio. Either
Oof.
of those guys worth dropping for Sanders. I would say Pollard is, but Steven being the handcuff master that he is might disagree with you. Um, but I wouldn't drop Julio quite yet.
No.
I mean, at the worst, I would trade him, but I would not drop Julio. Um, but yeah, I would say Pollard and Beasley. I think Beasley's a good swap for Chenault. I wouldn't panic on Beasley, but personally, I would say Pollard. What do you think, Steven?
Yeah, I think Pollard too. it kind of depends a little bit like on how you're doing the season. I already said that earlier, but you can't drop Julio. You can only trade off of him dependent. I mean, because you probably drafted him in a pretty high round, so can't drop him yet. And I think he's got some good value rest of the season. But Pollard, yeah, I'm definitely dropping Pollard for a guy like Emmanuel Sanders who is balling out right now.
Balling like Jim Jones.
Yes, dude. What a
We
throwback right
fly
there.
high,
We
no
fly high.
lie. That's
We
gonna be
ballin'.
we're gonna pay for that to be the Catch Fams
Yeah.
official intro song.
Dipset.
Yeah. All right, let's see here. Let's see. Aaron Reborn. I was going to see if I should try and move Mike Williams and Marvin Jones for Hopkins on another team. I don't know, man. I'm really torn on Mike Williams because my
Mhm.
initial take on him was don't take him out of your lineup and don't give up on him until we see the regression, until we see him not perform how he was performing. And I guess we're there, right? Technically.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, oh gosh. So I'm very torn because I still believe in him on the season. And I still think he's going to have several very, very good games. Um, I know that it's a really good time to buy Hopkins.
Mhm.
So I
Probably the
don't
only
hate the
time.
trade. Yeah, I don't hate the trade, man. I'm not gonna, bet against DeAndre Hopkins. So, but it's a tough call, Aaron Reborn. Let us know in the chat. Mike Williams and Marvin Jones or Hopkins. Let us know. Roger Hughes, what is going on, man? I was shit at RB and I traded Cook for Javante and Chubb last night. I have Sutton, AJ Brown, and Emmanuel Sanders as my receivers, so that's why I was leaning towards taking that trade. I don't think it's that bad of a trade.
Nah, neither do I.
I love Nick Chubb still, man. There's been a lot of I don't want to say hate, but almost like worry around Nick Chubb.
Mhm.
We're only 4 weeks in, guys. And I was looking at some crazy stats around him today, and he's like 10 to 12 points away from being like a top 5 running back. And depending on scoring format, he is within the top 10 easily. I think in both half PPR and full PPR, he's at least at the RB8 mark, if not higher. Um, I'm all for Nick Chubb, man. He hasn't scored a touchdown since week 2. So that should be he's got tough matchups coming up. That's the only knock I'll give to him, right? He's got the Chargers, Arizona, Denver, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, New England. It's a tough stretch, man. Don't get me wrong. But he's one of these running backs that can play very well in tough matchups as well. And the nice thing is that Kareem Hunt takes some of the pressure off of him as well. So I'm all for Nick Chubb at this point in the season, man. If you can trade for him, I think it's a good move.
And Javante too, man. I know you got him, but
Let's
I
hope.
it's a matter, dude, it's a matter of time. And you're probably gonna get him for your playoffs, right? You're gonna get him for that final stretch too, probably. So, I like Javante, and I think that pair with Nick Chubb, who's a proven back right now, is really good. And we're seeing Cook already hurt. Um, might be a good time to make a move for a stud like Chubb if you can.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad move. And I like your receivers as well. So even though it looks like you're not too confident in your receivers, I don't mind them. But my receiver sucks. Who knows? Uh, JRX, I don't like hearing all these Pete Carroll takes. I spent 3 weeks trading my way to Carson and Lockett. Yeah, fair enough. But he's scaring me, man. He's scaring me.
Yeah.
Marquise L, thanks, guys. You got it, brother. JRX, I might have traded too much for them, so I need them to play well. I mean, I still think they're going to play well on the season. I just don't
Mhm.
know what Pete Carroll's doing with his Alex Collins experiment. I still like both of those guys, though, by all means.
Yeah, especially Lockett too. I mean, it's just tough, right? I mean, he's a little banged up. I think that's why he didn't ball out against the Niners. But Lockett's a beast, dude. And once he gets healed up, I do think he's going to probably return to the target volume he was seeing in the first couple weeks. And Carson, they can spell him out. They can funnel in these other backs, but Jerry, I wouldn't freak out yet. I think me and John just are a little spooked about Pete Carroll and his decision making sometimes.
He's spooky.
Yeah.
It's October,
Spooky
guys.
season, y'all. Spooky
Spooky.
season.
It's the spook time. Okay. Let's see here. Roger Hughes. I could have easily picked up Dawson Knox or another tight end from the waivers if I take that trade. I could also try and snag Swift from him. Yeah, I think if he had
Whoa.
Swift,
Yeah. Wow.
that's good business, man.
Yeah.
Traded. Let's see. Traded Cook for Javante and Chubb. Yeah, if you can pick up Swift, why not? But yeah, Dawson Knox is a great waiver
Mhm.
option too, man.
Yep.
LeBron's brain, what's up, brothers? Good to see you tonight, man. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate you, man. Taylor for Robinson and Mike Evans. I'd say yes. I think Steven's bias of a Colts fan is popping in,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I am.
I like JT, man. I got nothing bad against JT, but
I would probably actually take Robinson and Evans here. I think, there's been some murmurs about the seriousness of JT's little bang up as well, and obviously the Colts are, you know, not the best this year, right? Let's not get too excited about the win against Miami,
they got
who's
their
also
first win, man.
pretty mediocre team. Miami is.
Yeah,
Sorry to any Dolphins fans out there, but
yeah.
I think in general, even coming into this week, uh, you know, Jonathan Taylor is one of those guys that if you're an owner of him, you are probably extremely disappointed. So you were probably looking to pivot off of him, sooner rather than later. And this is kind of the week that you'd want to do it because he's got Baltimore next week. Um, it's a tough situation with them. The only thing about Jonathan Taylor that would be a pro for him is that he has a great playoff schedule. So if you get there, I think he's going to eat come playoff times for fantasy football leagues. But I would take the deal.
I'd take the trade.
Yeah, I take the deal.
Hollywood just traded Damian Harris for Jalen Hurts as a backup quarterback. I think that's fine. I think Jalen Hurts is a great QB too, if you're asking me. So yeah, I like that. Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming out to the stream tonight. Seth, what is going on, man? Thanks for coming out tonight. Appreciate catch fam in large numbers tonight. Appreciate all you guys, man. Do I trade Chase Edmonds and Deontay Johnson for Swift and Marvin Jones? My other running backs my other running back is Kamara, and my other receivers are DK, Allen Robinson, and Odell. So you'd be
Ooh.
shipping Edmonds and Johnson and receiving Swift and Jones. I don't hate it. I think you're getting an upgrade at the running back position as much as I like Chase Edmonds, and then getting a little bit of a downgrade at the receiver position, but you've got some good depth at receiver, but I'm not 100% confident in Allen Robinson or Odell Beckham. So I still like Chase Edmonds. I don't know what you think, Steven, but I don't know if it's a necessary trade.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if it's necessary either. I like Johnson a lot.
Yeah.
Swift is really good, and Marvin Jones is really good too. I think Alvin Kamara is going to be bouncing back. So the fact that you could pair up Swift and Kamara, though, that's nice.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, I would like that on a week to week basis, though, to be honest, man. And I
Yeah.
think at receiver, there's less depth available at running back than there is receiver. So I'd probably take the deal, to be honest.
I don't mind the trade. I
Yeah.
don't. Chase Brown 0-4. I feel your pain, man. Although I'm
Yeah.
1-3.
And I think that was in reference to when we were talking about if he was, ahead, like if he had a good record, because that's why he had Tony Pollard. And
Okay.
0 and 4, no handcuffs. You can't have it.
Yeah, go get value right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Steven only has like 2 wins, but he still has a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
handcuffs. So
Don't follow my
don't be
strategy.
like Steven.
Don't follow my strategy.
Lidsky, okay, thank you. You know we got you. We got you. No worries. Chase Brown, I'm in slight need of RB depth with only Zeke, Chiba, CMC, Pollard, and soon to be Damian Williams. Man, I'm in need of RB depth as well, as I started off the season with a ton of running backs, and then they've just been getting like assassinated one by one. But yeah, I've got Christian McCaffrey and Montgomery on my bench. So right now I've got Javante Williams and oh my gosh,
James
James
Robinson.
Robinson. I couldn't get
Yeah.
his name out. I could see his face. It was
Well,
staring at
everybody's dead on your
my
team, man.
soul.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
ghost.
might be next the way it's going. And the worst part of that, Christian McCaffrey and David Montgomery aren't on IR. So I've
Mhm.
got 2 bench players that I can't move and I can't drop by any means either. So I really only have 3 bench players to work with. And I love my waivers, man. And I can't put in as many as I want to. And it's really pissing me off, guys. But Chase, I feel your pain, man. I'm there. It will get better. When you have CMC back and healthy and you compare him with Zeke, at that point you can probably drop Chuba and yeah, I think he'll be all right in the long run, man. He'll probably drop Pollard and Damian Williams down the road too. So Dave Montgomery injury is hurting me, but it's definitely benefiting you for this week. But we'll keep an eye on that thigh bruise as well, because you know what they
Mhm.
say about those thigh bruises.
Dude, limitations.
Yes, yes, as very well elegantly put by Stephen. Litsky, I'm in an 8-team league, so don't judge me, LO, but I have Henry, Chubb, Mixon, Henderson, and Patterson for my RBs. So which RBs should I trade with Woods?
That's a lot
Ooh.
of good players.
Ooh. Ooh. Uh
Would you trade any of them?
honestly, I know you're gonna hate this, but I would trade Mixon out of those guys.
What? Dude, no, no,
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
No, you would trade Joe Mixon for Robert Woods?
No, he's trading with it's a package deal. Mixon and Woods, remember?
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. Now I'm here. Okay. No, still no, no, dude. Mixon's a
Actually,
three
I
down
will
back.
say
He's a three
Mixon's
down back.
he's about to have after this week Detroit, Baltimore, and the Jets right in a row. He's got a good playoff schedule, although he does play Denver in week 15. But after that, he's got a good schedule. Uh, I like all those guys, man.
I
I
I
think he
know.
might have. I hate to say it, I hate to say it because he's my guy right now. I
Yeah,
think you might have to consider Patterson,
yeah. I would agree with you.
although he's like the
And
RB MVP on the season. But
And I'm not like that's like Henderson's right there too because I don't think Henderson's proved that he's like a badass
bro,
this year. You know what I
bro,
mean? D Hendies.
D Tendies is a badass. How dare
Yeah,
you? How
dude.
dare you?
I know. I know. I would do it. I would go ahead and package Patterson with a
Dude,
Woods.
Daryl Henderson has Seattle, New York Giants, and Detroit, then Houston and Tennessee, and then San Francisco.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good. And his
It's
name is Daryl Henderson. Okay. And in week 15, which it's a little different now for fantasy playoffs, depending on your league and everything, but that could be your first fantasy playoff matchup. He's got Seattle. I mean,
Mhm. It's
don't be
very
like
good.
me and trade him for Trevor Lawrence. Although that's in a 20-man league, so it's a little different.
Yeah.
And I only had Tua, so
You got
I
really.
do miss D10Ds, man.
Oh,
I
sure you
really do.
do. Sure you do. He was
Yeah,
the tasty player.
yeah. I don't think we answered your question though.
No, we just
Man, that's really tough. But quite honestly, I think you have to consider Patterson,
Mhm. Sell high on a
especially
guy who's never done it before.
yeah, sell high while you can because it might not last. Although I think there's a shot that it could last. Holy crap! Just in Dallas Cowboys to release linebacker Jalen Smith.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah, that's big time. Roger Hughes, any Cowboys fans, Supersize Senpai, if you're hanging out in the chat still, anyone else out there, Cowboys fans, let us know what you think about that move. Obviously, they have replaced him with some youth, and I think that he can go to another team and be an immediate starter.
Washington football team needs a linebacker because
F
they're
or
getting shredded.
WFT, yes,
Yeah, they
they
need
need. That would be a great move. Um, he could go anywhere, honestly.
yeah, he could.
Roger Hughes, I'm saying, should I take the Lockett and Waller for Hopkins, Carson, and Higby given that? So it was opposite. Then yeah,
Yeah.
I don't hate it then. I would rebuttal and try and get a low end RB out of that and
Mhm.
trade for Carson. Just always rebuttal is my advice. Why not? Because they're trying to get you to bite. Try to get them to bite. And if they don't bite, then take the trade. But yeah,
Yeah.
if it's reverse, then yeah, I like that trade. Receiving Lockett and Waller.
Yeah, I think that's a kind of a tactic in any trade negotiation is that you should always try to counter for something a little bit more in your favor, as long as you know that like the other fantasy owner isn't going to be like a pain in the ass and you would just walk away from the deal, right?
Yeah.
But you should always be trying to do that. At least do one counter offer.
Steven knows all about those counter offers.
Spent 45 minutes doing counter offers.
Charlie, what is going on, man? Good to see you tonight, man. Shout out to all the Catch fam. Hope you guys have all smashed that like button. Hope you guys, if you are new here coming through, hope you guys are subscribing, becoming part of the Catch fam. Nonetheless, good to see everyone in strong force tonight. Look at that. You like, yeah, whatever that is, do that.
That's my subscribe button.
We just need to clip that and put it at the beginning of each video we do. Charlie, rate this trade. Saquon, Devontae Booker, Emmanuel Sanders, and AJ Green for Dalvin Cook, Kenyon Drake, and Will Fuller. I have Keenan Allen and AB at receiver. Holy cow. That is a lot to take in.
So it's like basically change teams.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know which side you're on. I just want to make sure because I think the winner of that trade. Oh, that's a tough one.
Devontae Booker, who? So a handcuff
If you
here.
packaged Devontae Booker into a trade, then you won the trade. That's the way I'll put it. Listen, when Dalvin Cook is healthy, he is going to be a top 5 fantasy running back. So if
Maybe
you ended
Saquon
up
is
with
too.
Cook and Drake, I think Drake's a fantastic flex play on a weekly basis. Then I think you won that trade. Although you did give up Saquon, but it's okay. It's okay.
I would say, all right, so this is my take on this. I think whoever is going to get Saquon, Sanders, Green won the trade.
I was kind of leaning that way as well.
Will Fuller just got, I think he just broke a bone or something, right? And so, his whole career, he's been injured history,
Did he
he's not.
actually get injured, or he just?
Yeah, no, I'm serious. You look it
Okay.
up. I forget what he injured, but yeah, he's gonna be out this week against Tampa, I believe. So, Will Fuller is kind of like a scratch. It's kind of like pointless. Then you've got Madison, who's a handcuff. Also, not really somebody I would love to have in my trade, right? So you're really getting Dalvin Cook and a couple handcuffs and a guy with a broken hand.
Yeah, he did break
So
his finger, is what it was.
yeah, so I like Saquon here, and I like Sanders and AJ Green. That's the way I would be looking at this.
All right, let's see here. Roger Hughes, given that I traded for Chubb and Javante, should I now trade Lockett and Waller for Hopkins, Carson, and Higbee? Okay, so we've gotten this trade in the wrong on the wrong side of things twice now. I'm sorry, Roger. Okay, I apologize. We both apologize. I apologize for Steven.
Yeah, thank you.
So you traded for Chubb and Javante. Now you're wondering trading Lockett and Waller and receiving Hopkins and Higbee. It's tough, man, and Carson as well. It's tough. I don't think it would hurt. I just hate to see you lose Darren Waller.
Yeah.
It's that's tough. It's a tough answer. I'm literally just standing here staring at it. Like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I would say this, man. I mean, like you're getting Carson right to add, so you've got a very deep running back core at that point, right? If you're getting him, because then you got Chubb, Javante, and Carson. That's nice. I would actually stay away from that. I would not trade Waller and Lockett though. I think if Lockett hadn't had the bad game this week, I feel like you would be less inclined to trade him, right? Or if you would trade him, you'd be looking for bigger value, right? Because Lockett's been pretty good on the season. And I love Waller, man. I mean, if you watch that game last night, the dude is just leaps and bounds above everybody else. He might actually finish as the best tight end this year. I don't know if he's not going to. He might beat Travis Kelce. And if you knew you could have like a Travis Kelce level player, I think you would always have that.
I agree. I don't want to see you give up Waller. And I think
Yeah.
Lockett's ceiling as well as Waller's ceiling on a consistent basis is extremely valuable. So it's hard to say, but I'm leaning
Hopkins
with
is
Steven's
attractive.
answer.
Yeah, Hopkins is always attractive, but I just think you've got a really good squad right here already.
That's tough. That's tough, Roderick. Charlie, rate these tight ends in order of waiver wire pickup. Uzma, Max Williams, Dan Arnold, or Johnny Smith?
Mm.
If you're asking me, I would go Williams number one. I like, okay, man, I like Max Williams. I don't know why, but I do. Listen, I like Uzma, but I want to see a larger sample size. I truly do, because this is the, take away last week's Thursday night game, and he's done nothing this season.
Yeah.
I'm still worried about Johnny Smith. And I would actually probably put Dan Arnold second on this list, and then Johnny, and then Uzma. I think Dan Arnold, in terms of targets, is probably going to be okay, given that he is the tight end one for the Jags, right? And Trevor Lawrence needs some sort of security
He's a
blanket.
good player too. He's a really good player.
I would go Williams, Arnold, Smith, Uzma, but I really want to like Uzma. If you really want to take a gamble, I think you roll the dice there.
I like Uzma more than Smith.
Okay.
Smith hasn't really looked good, to be honest.
I don't know if I disagree with that. Yeah, I think you might be right there. Just remember, you had Johnny Smith high on those. Everyone go back and watch our tight end ranking videos from August.
Dude, fuck you, man. No, but I mean, I think in this kind of situation, when you're ranking these guys, you're kind of looking at like the marginal difference between a guy like Smith and Uzama, or I don't even know how to pronounce it, to be honest. But I think that the upside on that guy is so much more than Smith. But you are definitely the expert on tight ends.
Am I? Yeah, definitely stay tuned for our tight end must starts tomorrow night. Although I don't know that'll help you before waivers, but yeah, man. I based on the offense alone, I like Williams the most out of these four guys. But I think Arnold's gonna probably be actually a pretty good full PPR play as well. Moving on the season. Chase Brown have so much receiver depth that is it's easy to happen, right? It's just a position that's easy to pick up on. So I kind of feel the same way. Marcus, oh man, is JT more hurt than I know because he's my RB1, Henderson 2? Anything you know there, Steven?
I've just been hearing stuff from some of the Colts locals that it's something that might be lingering for a little bit. Not anything.
Who are
that's
these
like
Colts locals that you know?
No. Like, so sources, right?
You
So,
driving
like,
out to Indianapolis?
yeah,
And just,
yeah.
hey guys.
Well, if you must know, I'm calling Jim Irsay on.
Okay.
We're like really good friends, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and Andrew Luck's still a local of the community, but
Right.
no, I think what we're gonna really see here is JT is gonna continue to be spelled by Naheem Hines.
Yeah.
And with the injuries, Taylor he had so many carries back in college, saw a serious workload his first year too. I would be worried about a guy with an injury like that, especially if he was a little disappointing so far. I don't know. I don't think you trade him based off of this injury news so far, but he's not imminently out, right? It's just more of something of like, guy's going to be probably lingering all season.
Yeah. Well, Steven's the insider, so he's our Ian Rappaport of the channel.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, you don't want like fluid in your knee buildup like that. That's always a little sketchy. Right. That's not something I want to see out of a running back. That's the hardest position to play. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, let's see here. Charlie, George Kittle or Logan Thomas rest of season in PPR? Ooh, that's tough. I don't want to bet against Kittle ever.
No, I'm still saying George Kittle.
Yeah. Logan Thomas has been better though. The Heineke's slinging that thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pick Logan Thomas.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, you can't revert.
I can't rebuttal because you know what are the leading points from my rebuttal would be? Trey Lance.
Okay.
But, honest take, though, he could elevate this offense,
Well,
and we'll see.
my take is the Heineke. So let's move on. Jake Collier, do you think that Naheem Hines is going to boom or bust against the Ravens? Ooh. What do you think, Mr. Colts fan?
I think he's gonna be used quite a bit. Um, he I think there's a higher chance that he booms than busts against the Ravens, to be honest.
They've
Um,
been bad against running backs.
yeah, and his pass catching, capabilities on a week-to-week basis is so high. And, I mean, Hines I like Hines a lot. I just he's one of my favorite Colts, honestly, in general, regardless of just this week. But I would definitely say he would lean more of a boom this week against the Baltimore Ravens, and they're going to need their star players to come out and force because this Ravens team is going to bring them a serious competition this week. They're going to come at their throats. So I'm hoping Carson dumps it off to Hines early and often and doesn't just get blown up by this Ravens defense.
I hope so too. I like Naheem Hines. Looks like we missed a comment here. Or did we? Maybe not. Cole Pierce. Do I trade AJ Brown and Patterson for a guy like Terry?
Mm.
I don't mind that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a lot though. You're basically trading Brown without even seeing what he could do for your team. Even though I'm pretty low on Brown in general.
Yeah.
I think you are too. And you're still trading like a stud at Cordero Patterson. I would take the deal because we both like are so obsessed with Terry McLaurin, but what I would do first is I would shop Cordero Patterson and AJ Brown separately to the rest of your league and see if you can get maybe a better deal or more depth, doing separate transactions rather than one big trade.
I think that's a good call too. If you can do a straight up trade, like Steven's saying, then I mean, honestly, the way Patterson is playing, you shouldn't have to trade both of these
Yeah.
players as good as Scary Terry is, right? You should be able to do a straight up trade for Patterson for Terry. AJ Brown, I could see where there's a rebuttal there, just being that he's been injured. But yeah, the way Patterson's been playing, you shouldn't have to give up two players, man. All right, let's see here. Fletch Tate standard. Just traded Devontae for Mike Williams and Lockett because I'm desperate for a wide receiver too. Was it a W? Thanks, boys. You got it, homie. I don't think it's that bad of a trade. I mean, you're giving up Devontae Adams,
Yeah.
but outside of that, you did get two stud receivers. So I don't dislike it.
Yeah,
What do you
I
think?
like that deal. I think it gives you a lot more depth right there. Which honestly, I mean, having a stud receiver like Devontae is amazing. But for me personally, I always take depth over one player. That's just how it goes. That's how
I
it
don't hate that.
goes.
Yeah. Okay. Um, Hollywood. Mark Cooper for DJ Moore. I like that trade if you're getting more.
Yeah, if you're getting more, I
Yeah.
would never trade DJ Moore. Like you would have to give me like a king's ransom.
Yeah. I think if that's who you're getting, then I'm all for that, man. Absolutely. Let's see here. Let's see here. James Zhao, what's up, man? Start three. Godwin, Lockett, Henderson, Gibson. Ooh,
Mm, Godwin.
that's it. Just Godwin.
Godwin for sure. I'd
Yeah.
say Godwin, Gibson, and Eileen Henderson.
I think I agree with you, but it's a tough call. I think I agree with you. Godwin a little bit disappointing this past week. I would definitely start Henderson.
Yeah, you know Belichick, man. He's always ready to, strap out that X factor player, and I
That's
think
a good
that's what
point.
he basically did in that week. And the weather in that game was absurd. I mean, Tom Brady looked very mediocre. If you had him in fantasy, you probably lost, or were really pissed off in general. So
I
I think Godwin's gonna have a big week this week going against Miami.
I will say I don't love the matchup for Gibson versus the Saints.
No, don't love it either.
So that makes me more inclined to lean on Tyler Lockett, who actually, depending on format, is still coming in at like wide receiver 3 just because of those first 2 weeks. So he's due for a big game. And I think that Ramsey's going to be
Metcalf.
giving DK, the pressure, right? So I think that he's a pretty good start. I don't want to start running backs versus the Saints defense. So for me, I would go with Godwin, Lockett, and Henderson, but uh, you always run the risk of Gibson and these RB1s, similar to Gibson's value, getting in the end zone, right? So,
But
uh,
yeah, with that said too, I mean, after you said that as well, like I think you're right. Like McKissick tends to eat up like all the touches. He's like out touching Gibson. So, and the Saints, I imagine the game script's going to be similar to a situation like last week where McKissick is involved a lot. So yeah, Lockett might be the better play here out of those two. Now that you said that,
pop, block, and drop it, baby. All right.
pop, lock, and drop.
Let's see. Bryce Davis, Mooney, or Debo at flex full PPR. I would say Debo,
Yeah, yeah.
just based on their offense being more consistent as a whole. And the
Debo's just a
Bears,
beast.
being a little inconsistent. And yeah, Debo's a beast.
Yeah,
So that sums it up, man. All right, let's see here. Chase Brown. Someone is offering to give me CEH and Diggs for either Zeke or CMC. That's a tough one. Is it worth considering? I would say it's worth considering now that CEH is starting to actually take off a little bit. If you need the depth at receiver, but I wouldn't be willing to give up Christian McCaffrey.
I wouldn't give up
And
Zeke either.
I don't want to give up Zeke either. Yeah. If I had to pick one of the two, it'd probably be Zeke. But listen, man, when Christian McCaffrey is healthy, and I know you're hurting overall depth, man, so that makes it an even more difficult decision. But I don't think I'd do it, man. Just thinking of that combo of Zeke and a healthy Christian McCaffrey, I don't think I could do it.
They're really coming for him too, man. They are looking at, taking him out because he's
Yeah,
hurting right now with the record and obviously being down Christian.
they're coming for your soul, man. But you were strong, Chase.
I I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it because especially when you look at this Clyde Edwards scenario, I mean, obviously he has played well these past 2 weeks, but we're like 2 weeks out from saying that this is like the biggest bust on the season, right? So let's
Yeah,
not forget about that. Let's not like this bias of this past couple weeks, like totally get that out of our mouth. But also, still don't think Clyde has scored on the ground yet. And Clyde, dude, I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about having Clyde as like my number 1 or number 2 back. And
dude,
Zeke, I'm definitely not willing to trade him.
Clyde's playing all right, man.
He is playing all right. He is playing all right. And I think Diggs also is good. I think Chase, you mentioned above that you've got like some depth at wide receiver. So obviously Diggs is better than depth, but I would be more inclined to have 2 top running backs in Christian McCaffrey and Zeke.
I agree. I still agree. Let's see. Marcus L. DCB4. L. We are extremely deep at linebacker. Michael Parson,
Oh, okay.
or uh, Keanu Neal, excuse me, Wolf Hunter, etc. He was just the odd man out. Yeah, and you still have Van Der Esch too. So
Beast.
yeah, I
He's a
mean, we kind
beast.
of, if you guys watched Hard Knocks, this was kind of touched on briefly. And Parsons is good, man. Like he's for real, and I love the fact that Neal's playing linebacker because,
Mhm.
I mean, obviously with Dan Quinn being the defensive coordinator now and the Falcons and that connection, right? But I would always play Neal at linebacker at Madden, so I think it's great. I love it, man. But yeah, I'm interested to see where Smith ends up.
Hey,
Uh,
Parsons was your defensive rookie of the year prediction.
that's
It's
true.
looking like it's coming out in spades.
Emmer Sertain, good old
Yeah.
Patty Sertain. Evan Harrison, drop Elijah Mitchell for someone that'll make it through the waiver. maybe a RB or a tight end since Kittle has a bye next week. I think you can definitely drop Elijah Mitchell.
Mhm.
And I think there's probably better, more consistent options on the waiver wire overall. Cole Pierce, you skipped me. We did not mean to skip you, my guy. We
I
sincerely
I
apologize.
think Cole Pierce's comment was the one on Terry McLaurin. AJ Brown and Patterson for a guy like Terry.
Oh. Cole, let us know if what specific question you need us to get back to if we didn't answer it. We are happy to answer it, my guy.
But
Nick,
yeah, and just to recap too, we felt that if you're gonna trade Patterson, it should be a 1 for 1. He's too good to trade in a package deal, especially for a guy that Terry's lower ranked, currently.
Scary Terry. It's October, guys. Don't forget it. Okay. Nick Brandon, what other running back do you think I could trade Patterson for, or should I just hang on to him? Ooh, I would still hold on to him, man. I would personally. Dara X at John, how do you feel about Lamar this week? I don't feel great.
It's a good question.
I don't feel great that I went out and drafted this guy in the 4th round, and I love Lamar Jackson, man, but I still like quarterback 8 on the season. You know, he's not playing that bad, but I listen, man, my early what, are you okay, Stephen?
Just had to take a bite of it.
Oh. Steven's he's needing a cheeseburger or something over there. Uh Listen, man, I do like Lamar on the season. I think he's got a chance to bounce back. I knew it was a bad matchup last week, but Indianapolis has not been great against posting quarterbacks, so I'm good with Lamar this week. But I'm still scared because last week I wanted to start Sam Darnold and I talked myself out of it, even though I knew it was a bad matchup versus Denver for Lamar, and I didn't do it. But I think that Lamar bounces back and has a much better week. This is the worst defense he's faced since week 2 when he faced Kansas City, and then he's got a pretty tough stretch against the Chargers and Cincy before bye week. So uh, I'm still rolling with Lamar, but I am kind of worried. The stretch after the bye week's pretty tough too. He only sees one team outside of the top 20 right now, which could change by then. And that's Pittsburgh, who I still don't feel great overall because Pittsburgh is still pretty good uh, defensively. So I'm worried. I'll put it that way, but I'm still starting him. Marquise, I feel you on the fluid and the knee as something to monitor. I feel the same, but my current RBs on my bench are Zach Moss, Trey Sermon, and Michael Carter until waivers in a few hours. I think your bench is pretty good overall. I'm not crazy about Sermon because I'm not crazy about the Niners, but I think we both still like Jonathan Taylor. I think Steven's just got his
I'm
Indianapolis
scared.
insider.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just scared. I mean, I would definitely say that, like, having John Taylor, you can definitely still be confident with him every week. But Zach Moss, man, me and you were both really high on this guy too. He was a sneaky, he's a sneaky like benefit to your team. You probably weren't expecting Zach Moss to become as good as he is right now.
Yeah. James Dow, you worried about Gibby's matchup? I am against the Bills. I mean, not the Bills. I'm sorry, uh,
Saints,
the Saints. But
big time.
I am. Yeah,
Let
short
me
answer. I am.
let me actually make that short answer a longer answer, and let's run through my team real quick to see if you would bench him for somebody. Okay. So would you bench Gibson for Allen Robinson, Brandon Ayuk, or Kenneth Gainwell against Carolina? Or do you still think he's a guy that you got to have in your lineup? Like, I guess my point of that question is more of
Hmm.
like Gibson's kind of a guy, if you drafted him, he's almost like an automatic start for you, probably. So where is the cutoff, right?
Uh, that's so hard.
Because I would
You,
start McKissick over Gibson.
I would maybe start Ayuk, just being that it's a short week and we don't see a lot of defenses showing up on Thursday night. That's tough. Gainwell versus the Panthers isn't much better either.
Mm-mm.
That's tough. And the thing with a lot of these RB1s, even being lower tier guys and against better defenses, right? Uh, they still have that threat of getting into the end zone.
Mhm.
So I'm worried about the matchup, but I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough. Let us know in the chat. Are you guys worried about Antonio Gibson versus the Saints this week? All right, let's see here. Berkey, what is going on? Should I trade D Swift and Mike Williams for Godwin and Jonathan Taylor? Steven's saying yes. That's
Mainly for Godwin, right?
that's the most
Um,
unclear reaction I've ever
yeah,
seen
right.
from Steven in my life.
Well, I'll tell you this, I like Swift more than I like Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, you're having to give up the better running back there, but I think Godwin for sure is gonna play better than Mike Williams and at a more consistent basis for the rest of the season. And you're getting Jonathan Taylor, who's probably gonna finish on the season top 14, maybe top 12 if this injury, goes away, right? Yeah, I definitely think you're getting Jonathan Taylor on the low, and you're getting Godwin off a bad week, but is definitely a absolute beast this year on the season so far.
But so is Mike Williams. Coming
I'm
off a
going with
bad week as well.
I'm just going with like career history too.
Okay.
That's I know you're, but give me your take on that shit. I mean, because like I feel like I'm like more pessimistic about Mike Williams than you are.
I personally, if it was me, I wouldn't take the trade.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a bad trade at the same time.
Yeah.
I just don't think Mike Williams is done. But I
He's
think
not done.
I think in terms of consistency, it is a good trade because I think Godwin and Taylor you don't have to worry about on a weekly basis, where Williams has a very high ceiling you're hoping for, and I would argue to some degree DeAndre Swift does as well. And the thing with Swift and Taylor is they're both on bad teams right now. They're both very fantasy relevant. That's a
Mhm.
tough one, man. I don't mind the trade though. I
Good
don't.
trade for both parties, which is always good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Cole Pierce, start the Cordell Pounder with cheese.
I love this name, by
Yeah,
the way,
that's a
Cole.
great
We
name.
might have to start doing that. We might have to
Yeah.
start doing that.
Or Hindi. Ooh. Start both. Man, no, you can't. You've got like a ton of backs, but Henderson's facing the Seahawks, man. I want to say Patterson, but this matchup for Henderson's fantastic. So I would roll Henderson.
I go Henderson on this too, but man, that name, Cole.
Yeah. Look at that
Thank you.
soft clap. Yeah, that is
Thank
a
you.
good one.
I love that.
Dylan,
I'm also hungry.
Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen for Tannehill, Chubb, and Ayuk. Also have Mixon, Hopkins, Sam Darnold. So,
Berkey commented as well. No chance, man. What?
I would hold on to Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen. I agree.
Yeah, I would not do that trade.
Especially you got Darnold, bro. He's leading the league in rushing.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
Darnold more than Tannehill right now.
Rest of the season, I like him more.
Yeah. I completely agree. Chase Brown. I don't know if I can do that because I need Zeke and CMC. I think we both agree.
Good
Trying
job.
to trade away Pollard and Julio for CEH. I think that's a great trade for you.
I think somebody might take that too.
Yeah. I think it's a good trade for both parties. Giving up some of my wide receiver depth. That's fine, man. Now trying to convince him to trade me Diggs and give up more of my wide receiver depth will let you know if anything changes. Please let us do. Berkey says yes. JRX, seeing Steven eat made me hungry. I made myself a sandwich.
Look at this sandwich right here. Look at this thing. Look
dude,
at
what
this.
is that?
It's got a variety of meats, roast beef primarily, with a couple cheeses, and mustard is the condiment on the day,
Go
ladies
ahead
and
and
gentlemen.
take a bite for the catch fam. There it is. Right in the mic. Beautiful. It doesn't get much better than this, guys.
I hope you're taking a
Fantasy
bite with me,
Q&A.
Jerry.
Yeah, take a bite for Steven, guys, whatever you guys got. Whether it's an apple, pizza, another sandwich, man. Take a bite for the catch.
Eating on camera is also like the most uncomfortable thing I've ever done in my life.
Well, it's even better that the sound's coming through the mic for everyone to hear, man. Let's see here. Aaron the Goat. Do I trade away Patterson for CEH? I would try and get
PPR.
more of a package deal.
Yeah, I would too.
I mean, listen, I like CEH for the rest of the season, but um, the way Patterson is playing, you should negotiate that bad boy a little bit more.
At least get some depth at
Yeah,
receiver, maybe.
yeah. Man, that sandwich looked pretty good. Okay,
Dude, yeah.
Chase Brown, he is, as Jay Juke says, nothing beats a little ASMR and fantasy talk.
Yes, yes.
Chase Brown, he is interested on the CEH trade, but wants to wait a week. He was low on CEH last week and likes some more because he had a good week last week. Interesting. I think CEH might have another good week.
Definitely,
But actually, well, they're playing the Bills. It might be a bad week for CEH. So that might actually work in your favor.
yeah. Hold on one second. So, who was he giving for CH, by the way? Let me see here. Pollard and Julio. And if Julio's healthy, he's got Jacksonville, right? And that's a good opportunity for a touchdown.
Yeah,
Pollard certainly might get looks here and there. I mean, there's a very good world where Pollard and Julio end up having good games. And CH, I mean, this Bills run D is very good. And I see this game, like we were saying, like it's gonna be a shootout, which means CH might not be the guy who gets the benefit out of this high scoring game.
I agree. I agree. And it's a tough matchup overall, too.
Yeah.
So
Chase, let us
I think
know, man.
I think that might help you in the long run, actually. Aaron the Goat. Okay, thanks. Yep, we got you, homie. You know what time it is, man. It's time for the catch fam, bro. We got you. Cole Pierce, rate my team A through F, 10 team PPR. Kyler, Kamara, Swift, AJ Brown, DJ Moore, Kelsey, D10Ds on the bench, Julio, Cordell or Pounder with cheese, Marvin Jones, Ruggs, Trey Lance, Gainwell. Suggest any changes?
I would give that team an A.
I'll give that team an A too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're strong at every position. And the thing I like the most about this team is you're probably winning at a high clip, and Kamara's not anywhere close to how good he's going to be this year. So
yeah,
when Kamara is back in action, your team is going to dominate competition.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Man, if only you could start Patterson as a wide receiver and have Kyler, Kamara, Swift, Patterson, Moore, Kelsey, and Henderson. Whew, whew.
Where would you say that he should, if he can, even because he's also got Lance on the backup right there? Like, oh my gosh, where could you see improvement? I would say maybe a depth at receiver because AJ Brown obviously pretty weak so far, and his backups are Jones and Ruggs.
I like Henry Ruggs.
I don't.
I like him.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah, he's on my
Okay.
team.
Yeah, I know.
I give that team an A. I don't know if you need to really worry about
Yeah,
improving right now, man. To be
yeah.
honest. Chase Brown trying to throw in Herbert as part of a deal too. He has Brady, but likes Herbert. As long as you're feeling confident about your QB depth, I think it's okay. Um, go pick up Sam Darnold right away. Aaron the Goat. Should I request this trade to the same guy? Patterson, Amari Cooper for Kamara, and Higgins. I have Corey Davis and Judy on the bench. Yeah, why not?
Who would have thought Cordero, the burger pounder? Hold on, what is his name? I gotta say it correct before I do it. Cordero pounder with cheese. Who would have thought Cordero Patterson with cheese could be traded for Alvin Kamara?
Yeah,
Wild, man.
think of
Wild.
it that way. Think of it,
The world we
before
live
the
in.
season starts. Yeah. I think it's a pretty good trade. I think when Higgins is healthy, he's going to be very consistent, where Cooper's giving you a high ceiling type play each week. So I think it's a good trade.
I like it.
Juke, Steven likes it. That's all that matters. If Julio plays, what two should I start? Him, Godwin, Robert Woods, Pittman. I would say, ooh, Julio's got Jacksonville, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I would start him and Godwin.
Yeah.
But I
Godwin.
like Robert Woods and Pittman too.
I'm actually I mean, I like Pittman, but I don't know if I mean, Ravens defense was in the must start defense video, and I'm not really trying to start Pittman against them. I think Pascal might have a better game, to be honest, but I think Godwin, and if Julio has a couple of days of healthy practice, you could put him for sure. If not, like if he's still looking banged up, I have no issues pivoting to Godwin and Robert Woods because I think we both like Robert Woods a little bit this week.
I like him a little bit. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
not a lot, but a
A
little
little
bit.
bit. Aaron the Goat. I have Corey. Oh, we already read that. I'm sorry. Chase Brown. Have Josh Allen. Okay, I got you. So yeah, you're looking pretty good at quarterback depth. Plus, they both have week 7 buys. Sadly, that's a good reason to trade them, man.
Hmm.
Go get go get Sammy Darnold, man. We need a nickname for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, let's get some names in there.
Yeah, nicknames for Sam Darnold suggestions. I know Steven's laughing at Jerry. Steven read the name and immediately said it wrong. Yeah, get used to that. Get used to that. Put it that way. Jerry, oh wow, I just saw that Carson is questionable. I need to start looking for a backup. If Alex Collins is available on the waiver, he's a perfect backup,
Tough
right?
defense. It's going against them.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, some of these waiver guys this week, I'm not crazy about, man. I'm not crazy about Williams, right? He's a little banged up. Okay. And he's like the number one waiver priority. And the Raiders have been not good against the run, but okay.
Mhm.
I'm not crazy about it.
I always get
Latavius,
hesitant too when there's like a back like a Williams getting so much hype, right?
yeah, yeah. Latavius Murray is facing the Colts. I'm not crazy about it. I might have to do it the way my team's looking, right? I'm crossing my fingers for 8 or 10 points, right? But I'm not crazy about it. Samaje Perine, I'm just not crazy about this either.
No.
And then Alex Collins, right? Uh, the Rams have surprisingly not been that good against opposing running backs this season. They're like 21st in the entire league. So it looks bad on paper, but after that, let's say he is a starter. He's got Pittsburgh and New Orleans. So I'm just not crazy about picking him up and putting full faith in him as an RB1. Don't get me wrong, he's going to present the red zone capability and everything, but I'm just not crazy about it. I'll put it that way. Does give Kit Jacksonville in week 8, but I don't want to wait till week 8 to
Yeah.
maybe have a starter and maybe not have a starter. Lost to Chris Carson, so
Alex
hard to
Collins
say.
he wasn't even a thing until this week. So
Yeah,
might not
yeah.
he might be serving up burgers by week
Okay, well, I
8.
wouldn't go that far. Jeez, jeez. Jeep, thanks again. Y'all are the ghosts. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate you coming out and showing support tonight. I think it might be time to wind down the stream,
Mhm.
boys and girls. So get your final fantasy Q&A out there, man. And we'll start winding things down. Tomorrow night, same time, 7:30. We'll have our must start quarterback and tight end stream. Followed by some fantasy Q&A right again. Thursday night we'll be on late for a little bit Thursday night action. Friday we'll do general fantasy Q&A. Might have a podcast topic for you guys. We might not. Saturday late night stream. Sunday we got the pregame stream and a potential Sunday night reaction stream. So gonna be a good week, guys. Gonna be a good week for the Catch fam. Jeek is asking 7:30 Eastern time. Yes, we are on the East Coast, baby.
Washington.
VA. Uh,
Oh yeah, I guess Virginia. Yeah. I should probably clarify that. There is
yeah,
another one.
a little bit south, but Aaron the Goat, rate by team, 12 team PPR. Carr, Chubb, Swift, Ridley, Amari Cooper, Pitts, Patterson, Tannehill, Corey Davis, Jamal Williams, Ruggs, and Judy. For a 12 team league, that's a good team.
Yeah.
That's better than my team. And we play in a 12-man together.
Yeah.
So I like that team, man. I mean, I give it a solid B plus.
Yeah, also, once Kyle Pitts once it's because he's getting the targets, so once it starts turning into productivity, which it will, because I think the Falcons' offense is getting better.
Yeah.
Like, Kyle Pitts is gonna be good. Like, he's gonna be really good. So
I
Once
don't like him.
really? Okay.
Just because I didn't like him in the preseason.
No, but that's fine because, like, I mean, Aaron the GOAT, you probably went out and you drafted him in the 5th round, maybe 6th round. You probably
I'm just kidding. I do think I do agree with what Steven's saying.
yeah, so I mean, like, and because right now when I look at his team, it's like I can tell he's disappointed right now in Pitts. I mean, any owner of Pitts right now is probably a little disappointed. But yeah, you've got a stud squad. So much depth on that roster too. I mean, Jamal Williams. I love Jamal Williams. I definitely I would love to have him on my squad as well. And you got Judy in the IR spot. Man, when he comes back, he's gonna be good.
I like that squad a lot, man.
I'd
I
say
really do.
I'd say if we're gonna be honest with the rating here, what would you do, John? I would A minus B plus. And really, that's like being hardcore about it.
I
Like you
said
gotta,
B plus, and I don't know why. That's honestly an A team for a 12-team league.
yeah, it's a
That's
great squad.
exponentially better than my team. So I'm gonna
Mine
have to
too. Mine
change
too.
that to an A. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got the Cordell Patterson and burgers and cheese. We can never get it out. Cordell
Cordero pounder with
Cord
cheese. I think.
Cordero Pounders with cheeses. Okay. Uh Aaron Goat, thanks by the way. Helped a lot. Yeah, man, of course. That's what we're here for, homie. Here for homie. Wow. It's getting to that point in the night. Jake Collier. Okay, I'll be here.
You
Awesome, man.
better
We look
be.
forward to
You
that.
better be here.
Okay. Okay. Well, be here
We're
if you want.
welcoming here at the catch.
Yeah. Jerry, I can finally start my homework. Thanks for keeping me busy. Absolutely, man. Of course. Bossman Fat Montgomery is out 4 to 5 weeks. Should I start Melvin G or Hines? I also have Jonathan Taylor. Hmm.
Two running backs on the same team.
I would take a chance on Melvin Gordon for now.
Yeah, me too. It's
Yeah,
always dangerous starting two running backs on one team, especially with the fact that this is going to be a low over under. So it's going to be a low likelihood that both of them get in the end zone and both of them put up high totals. I think it's going to be probably one or the other that has a really good game.
I agree. Rio Goated, I just picked up Kenny Galladay off the waiver wire. Was that a good move? I think for now. Yeah, I think it's a good move
Yeah,
for now. Especially since you're hoarding at receiver. Um, I do think it is. While Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton are hurt, I think it is. I think he has another performance like we saw last week. So I think it's a good move. Nathan Janke, what's going on, brother? Who do I start between Saquon, Daryl Henderson, and Mike Williams at flex this week? Saquon would be my immediate answer, but Henderson also has that juicy matchup versus the Seahawks. So I like that start too.
Saquon.
Steven says Saquon.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing him be utilized at a very high clip. He's kind of back to like 100%. Passing pass catching ability. Where the receivers are obviously banged up, so Daniel Jones will go to him. This Cowboys defense is good, but they do give up a lot of yards. I just think Saquon's like going to be really good this week.
I like both Henderson and Saquon, but I'm good with just starting Saquon. I do think that he is the better back out of the two. Just a better matchup for Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer Stern, 10-team PPR. Who should I look to improve? Herbert, Saquon, Chubb, J. Rob, Keenan, AJ Brown, Julio, Boyd, Jacoby, Emmanuel, MT, Logan Thomas, picking up Knox, Stream, kicker, and defense. I don't think you really need to improve. I like that you're picking up Dawson Knox. I mean, I think that's enough improvement within itself. I'm not really seeing a weakness on that roster. You got Saquon, Chubb, and Jonathan, or and James Robinson. Maybe at receiver.
Yeah.
Is the only hole. You
AJ
got some
Boyd
good.
and Julio.
Yeah.
That has not been a good pair to have right now.
Yeah. That'd probably be the only place. But I like your team a lot. Spencer also says to Nathan that Saquon is a must start each week, no matter what. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Bossman Fat, what's up, brother? I got the Saints D. Should I start streaming? I would. I started them last week and they absolutely disappointed me. 100% disappointed me. So yeah, Stevens must start defensive teams to stream. Dropped this morning, so go check that out. It's probably got some good info for you.
I will say Saints are on there, but they're on the back end of it, right? And I mentioned in the video that the Saints, you can stream them in a deeper league, but they did not reassure me last week that they're going to be a consistent defense. I just think that there's a chance that they play well against Washington with Taylor Heineke. I know, John, you're gonna totally disagree with that, but,
Heineke.
um, yeah, he's a beast. We do love the Heineken beer.
Yes. Yes. Chase Brown, the guy is agreeing to my Pollard and Julio for CEH. Let's
Wow.
go.
Let's go, guys. In the catch fam. Let's give him a round of applause. Great deal.
Should
Great
I
deal.
try getting his Kyle Pitts and I can throw in Herbert?
Wow.
Why not?
You're changing the squad tonight, my
Yeah,
guy.
man. Rebuttal. Rebuttal. Do it. Why not?
Yeah,
Why not? Spencer Sir, my wide receivers are killing me right now with AJ Brown and Julio, but if I can get to week 6 to 7, I'm liking it. Yeah,
agreed.
I would hold on to at least one of them for sure. But I think that's probably the only relative, small weakness on your roster.
John, before we move on, out of that though, like you're saying, like keep one of them. Who would it be out of those two that you would lean more than likely?
AJ Brown.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, down the stretch. I do like Julio a lot, but I would still roll AJ Brown as long as he's healthy. Bossman Fat, who's the best matchup this week? Cowboys against Giants. Listen, man, the Cowboys gave up 28 fantasy points last week, and they still, depending on scoring format, had between 8 and 10 points. So I think it's a great start. Steven, you might have some input in terms of streaming defenses, but uh, I really like Dallas's defense as well.
Yeah, Dallas's defense is really, I mean, they're really good at creating turnovers and getting sacks. I think the only thing is like Daniel Jones has just been a problem for defenses. Guys, New Orleans Saints were like a must lock at starting him last week. And guess what happened? Daniel Jones came to town and said, yeah, screw off. And he just blew him up. So I'm a little concerned about it. I also think Saquon Barkley has a good chance for a game. So it'll be interesting. I would probably lean going after a defense like the Ravens against the Colts a little bit more. I think that pass rush is ferocious, and their secondary is starting to get it together too. And with Carson Wentz's ankles banged up, I just think there's a good chance that there's some sacks and there's some turnovers, unless they run it every single play, which they might.
They might. Chase Brown. Thanks, guy. Need to make some big moves. Appreciate the support. Absolutely, man. We appreciate your support and you coming out to the streams
Wow.
and supporting the channel. Once I told him I want Pitts and we'll give him Herbert, he said, bet. Yeah,
Wow.
I think it's a good move.
Dude, you just
So
changed your team overnight.
so I get CEH and Pitts and I give up uh TP Julio Herbert. Do I win? I would say yes.
Yeah.
Fantasy catch up. Hey, bro, Benjamin. I need your advice and help. Shoot for it, man. Guys, we are running down the stream. We'll be off by 10, but go ahead and get your last minute questions in. Spencer Stern, the only people that I have been on that have been on my team from the start was Saquon and Herbert. Made a lot of trades already. Yeah. Don't hate it, man. Nathan Jakey, should I drop Elijah Mitchell to pick up a defense so that I can keep the Bills defense? Yes. I would say yes, absolutely. Spencer says yes, Chase, big time. Yeah, I think you win that trade as well, man. Fantasy catch up. I keep missing on DraftKings every week. I need a strategy. You get one QB, two running backs, three wide receivers, one tight end, one flex, and defense. You get 50,000. Do you have a strategy? Stack expensive wide receiver or something? I've never played on DraftKings before, so I don't know if I can give ample amount of advice, but I feel like you should just try and make it as even as possible.
Yeah. I know I haven't played it either. I have heard some people talk about it though. And what I see a lot of people do is they take some lower end quarterbacks, right? So some cheaper QBs. I don't know. I haven't looked at the market, but I think Sam Darnold would be a guy that's probably cheaper. Daniel Jones maybe would be cheaper. Trey Lance would be very cheaper, I would imagine. And then you go ahead and you look at the running back receiver position, and the only running back that I'd be willing to throw the bank on is Derrick Henry because it's probably going to be a touchdown, and especially going against Jacksonville. He could have, dude, Derrick Henry always ram sacks the Jags throughout his career. So I would be willing to spend a shit ton of money on a guy like Derrick Henry. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has over the past couple weeks been a very cheap player to get up. So maybe tag him with a guy like Clyde Edwards going against the Bills. And then at receivers, try to get few receivers to kind of pair up with whatever quarterback you have there.
Yeah. I will say this much, fancy ketchup. I will put together a DraftKings team this weekend, and I will start getting some actual advice for you because I don't think either Steve and I have ever played in DraftKings. So I will get that going this weekend and try and get you some more concrete advice as the season progresses.
Kind of exciting too. It seems like a really cool thing to do.
Yeah, and it's basically sports betting every week too. It's yeah, because there's money, real money involved. If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. That's cool, man. I'm gonna be a sports better now. Okay, Spencer Stern, liking the stream so far. You guys got a new sub. Look forward to future stream. Let's go, Spencer Stern,
We hit
joining
the
the
pew,
catch
pew, pew.
fam.
Let's go, Spence. That's the
Appreciate that
guy right
support,
there.
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
appreciate that support, man. And look forward to having you in the future streams as well, my guy. Fantasy catch up, Chenault or AJ Green and Flex? I would say Chenault,
Yeah.
but I like Green too.
Chenault
But yeah,
in your DraftKings setup, he's gonna be one of those cheaper guys, I feel like too. So I definitely like Chenault this week.
I agree. Juice Raj, should I trade away Ridley for Woods and Higgins in full PPR? That's tough.
Getting about that time, people are trying to trade off of Ridley. It's rough.
I don't hate the trade because I still believe in Woods on the season. I think that T. Higgins also provides pretty much wide receiver one value, but I wouldn't give up on Ridley just yet. But I
Yeah, I'm
do
not.
think that if you need the depth, if you need depth at receiver, if Ridley's really your only guy, then I don't hate it.
Yeah,
But I wouldn't move on from Ridley just yet.
we're seeing Chase jump into the bottom. No, keep Ridley. Yeah, I think you're going to get three guys saying that Ridley's the guy to keep here. I definitely think that the Falcons are going to get better and Matt Ryan's going to get better. Keep Ridley. There's so much more to come.
Let's see here. I gotta scroll up real quick. It's not letting me scroll up.
I think we've got Spencer Cern traded CEH
Yeah, I got it.
San.
Yeah.
You see
Okay,
it?
sorry. Traded CEH Sanders, Deontay Hill, Hawkinson for AJ Brown, Chubb, Julio, Logan Thomas, J Rob, and MT. Hate losing Hill and Hawk, but had to be done. That is a massive trade.
Yeah.
That is a lot to comprehend. Yeah, I think the biggest value loss was Hill and Hawkinson, and then I'd probably put CH there, and then Deontay as well. But so you got AJ Brown, Chubb, Julio, Logan Thomas, James Robinson, and MT. That's a big trade, man.
Yeah, that's a big trade.
I don't hate it.
No, I mean, obviously this week was kind of a rough one because, Hill had a massive week.
That's true.
Deontay played well too, and CH also. But I think at the end of the day too, I think we're both bullish on AJ's end of season projection. I think he's gonna continue to rise, right? Rest of the season. I think he's definitely gonna go up. And Chubb is a beast. I love Chubb rest of the season. So you definitely got good value out of that, and I wouldn't be mad at yourself there. And I see you're commenting right now too. I started 3-0, so look to improve for later in the season. Yeah, man, that was the exact strategy that I thought you might be going with there because all those guys have great end of season potential, and you started off 3-0, dude.
Yeah. Chase Brown, TDs will come. I'm convinced he's second in league in targets right now. I think. Yeah, good points. Switzer Stern, if you have Death Juice Rush, then yes, but otherwise, hell no. Fair enough. Fantasy catch up is Cordell or Patterson and mac and cheese and burgers. Is Patterson a go for next week versus Jets or start someone else running back? I think he's until we see this production fall off. I think so. Juice Ross, thanks. Absolutely, man. That's what we're here for, brother. Hope you are enjoying the stream tonight. Fancy catch up: Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray in a 2 QB keeper league. Kyler.
Josh Allen.
Mm.
Well,
I like both of those guys for sure, man. I mean, but yeah,
Kyler actually. I'm gonna lean Kyler than Josh.
I agree. JRX, I traded Ridley away for Lockett. I was angry, but how the Falcons were playing, I wanted someone better. Joke's on me. I mean, I still like Lockett, man.
Yeah, for
You'll
sure.
be all right, man. Playboy Richie, which I do with Michael Pittman Jr. I would hold on to him.
Mhm.
I still like Pittman. I would just hold on to him, man. And he's a good flex player on a weekly basis.
Yeah, Pittman's definitely got best value every single week.
Spencer says that was a bad trade in my opinion, Jerry. Yeah, I would probably rather Ridley. I think he's gonna be more consistent, and Lockett's you're looking for a higher ceiling on a uh, regular basis, but you live and you learn, right?
Both of those are good players still at the end of the day too. It's not like you
Absolutely.
got, like, absolutely destroyed in that trade.
As Jarek's is in the heat of the moment. Yeah. Chase Brown, too bad I can't use CH since trade will be completed during the Thursday game. Yeah, it's a bummer. Fancy catch up, Elief. You got all three in a 2 QB dynasty league. Uh Playboy Richie, thank you for clearing my mind. No problem, homie.
Absolutely, that's what we're here for.
Spencer Stern, I got Ridley at wide receiver 11, 14, and Lockett 15 to 20. I think that might be fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, homies. We are winding down the stream officially. We will be back tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 p.m. I was a blast tonight, man. Hope you guys enjoyed the must start RB segment and the must start wide receiver segment, and Steven eating a sandwich on the live stream. But nonetheless, man, we appreciate each and every one of you guys. To any of the new faces tonight, we appreciate you guys coming out and showing support. And hope you guys all hit that sub button, became part of the Catch fam. But nonetheless, we just appreciate you guys coming out to the stream. To all of the Catch fam, man, we appreciate you guys more than you know. This community is growing day by day, and it is phenomenal to watch, man. And like I said, we'll be back tomorrow. Must start QBs and tight ends. Juke, have a great night. Appreciate all the tips. Chase Brown, good night, Catch fam. Spencer, peace out, brothers. Have a good one. JRX, peace out, everyone. Right back at all of you. Steven, you got any closing thoughts for the night?
Hey, keep them coming, but I'm taking Cordero Patterson with Cheese nickname. We need more nicknames for these players, right? What are
We
some funny
need
nicknames?
a
Let us
nickname
know.
for Sam Darnold. I
Yeah,
don't know why, but we need one. So
yeah,
good, great
definitely.
point, Steven. Uh, got nothing else to say. I thank each and every one of you for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch, and peace.